First episode of the year. Hello and welcome to Triangle Square, the PlayStation Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Beck, and alongside me, as always, is one Chris Figs. Chris, as you know, and as the longtime listeners know, but as someone who might be new here doesn't know, first and foremost, welcome. We are a gaming podcast that looks at the industry through the lens of being primarily PlayStation fans, but we play on other hardware when the games call to us, though, as we have been saying over and over again, it's getting increasingly easier to play on fewer platforms this generation. Chris, would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
So I don't know why the way you did that just made me go, hey, I'm Chris. What's up? I like basketball.
Is this your real world entry? I'm Chris. I like basketball and bitches on the beach.
Yeah, it's like I'm walking off the next bus. And
I didn't want her to see my room anyway. Room Raiders, next on MTV.
I love some of those. It's like, oh, loves grocery shopping, reads books, furry.
I always wanted to see one person be like a contestant that went through all of the weird MTV shows. Like you start on Next, which is pretty low. You know, it's not that bad. Then you move to, what was it, Room Raiders? And then it's like, okay, this is getting a little more weird. And then you get to the thing where it's like, date my mom.
Yeah, but we have that now. There's like a modern day equivalent of that. Because you start on OnlyFans and then you go to the whatever podcasts, right? That you go to the Manosphere podcasts, and then you get on the like Pop the Balloon game show. You know, I'm sure you've seen that.
I've not seen that. You probably everything else I know what you're talking about, but I don't know.
But you go on the podcast, you go on those like, you know, we're doing Tinder in real life.
I do think I've seen one thing. Is it people popping I haven't actually watched it, but I've seen it in my reels passingly.
They walk up and they're like, ooh,
if they don't like you,
fuck you, I'll pop. Yeah, exactly. The guy walks out and they're like, oh, popping the balloons.
Part of why I didn't watch it is even the little thumbnail that I saw for it on Facebook. I was like, oh, I get the concept.
You get the concept. Exactly.
There's not
so
much
I feel
needed.
like that's the new MTV pipelines, like OnlyFans, Manosphere podcasts, Zach Justice reels on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where it goes.
MTV is they need to hop into a new market, man. There's a burgeoning market just waiting to blossom all the way through.
It's kind of crazy that no one's taking advantage.
Well, maybe it's that type of show is hard to pull off because of social media now. That's the kind of shit that people just talk about on social media. Used to, you had to get people to be like, hey, this is going to be super embarrassing, but you're going to be on TV, so suck it up. And we're going to write some stories and play shit in your room that's not even yours because we want drama.
Half of these reels advertise themselves with like, oh, the girl who has really thick thighs and leg tattoos is standing behind a curtain and she laughs really cute. And then it ends before you see the person. So then that's how you sting it, right? See her face on MTV now. You know, whatever.
Well, Chris, I think you need to get into the room with Viacom so you can fix all their problems. But until then, and with that out of the way, for our first episode recorded this year, we're going to be talking Avowed joining the third-party Shenanigans at Microsoft, ratings boards seemingly leaking yet another game, PlayStation continuing to disrespect pro owners, and rumors around 3 beloved RPGs rejoining the limelight in various ways. But for now, before we take a look at what we've been playing, so you can hear our thoughts on some games that you've been playing, or so we can steer you towards or away from a game in your future, we've got a question, Chris, that from one of our longtime listeners and patrons that I feel like, given what my December became, feels like a timely question and a good way to start the year off, because you also did quite a lot of trophy hunting your last year as well, despite your eventual ceremonial bowing out of the competition so that you could apparently whoop ass this year. So we'll see how that's going for you. Maybe you'll have some trophies in there. But the question comes from a longtime listener and patron, No Fate, who went to patreon.com and gave as little as $1 per month. Hey, we appreciate you, man. Patreon.com/Nartech. He says, hi guys, it's been a while since I asked the podcast a question. So tell me, what trophy is now your proudest achievement and which trophy is your biggest regret? Now, we've had variations of this question throughout the years of the show. So I like that he says what is now, because it gives us a chance to reflect and see if anything's changed for us or not. So, Chris, we recently kind of went through our what would you call that? I think Jehudi had us go through our milestone platinums.
Yep.
So I know we talked a little bit about platinums recently, but do you have one that you didn't align with a milestone that has become one of your proudest that we've not talked about, or what is it right now? And do you want to qualify the old account that doesn't exist anymore versus what do you want to do?
No, I mean, the old account really just has like ones you can't get. Like I had Battlefield Bad Company 2 platinums, like OG platinum there. So like that would have been dope to have. But in terms of proudest, like my answer could switch every day. But I think it's probably The Witcher 3. Because that was one I always wanted because it felt like a cool one to get, but I just never clicked with the game enough to do it. And then when I did try, it was a fucking hard game on Death March. So actually pulling it off was pretty sick.
Yeah, the other day, whenever I was talking to one of our listeners and playing a game with him, we were talking about how many times I think he brought up naturally people who get like platinums out of spite, and I was like, oh, Chris has tried this a number of times. I feel like Chris has wanted on a number of occasions to be able to get the platinum in a game that he talks mess on for being overrated. And then he has this idea that like, I'll get the platinum. And then when someone says, oh, well, you don't like it because you just didn't play it enough or whatever, you could be like, no, bitch, I got the platinum. Shut up. And I was like, every time that he has taken on this pursuit, for the most part, it's come with the, oh, wait, no, this game's actually fantastic and really good.
Yeah. Yep.
So I have a question within the question. If The Witcher 3 is your answer, do you think the process of getting a platinum somehow, either the dopamine hit of getting a platinum or just that trophy list, if they're well designed, can get you to play a game in ways that you may not have experienced before? Do you think it's always going to happen that way, that like beloved games that you think are overrated, if you go for the platinum, you actually find the thing to love about them? Or do you think it was just something specific about like The Witcher 3? And I know you're not quite there platinum wise, but like the Red Dead 2 is another example of one of those games that you were very hard on and you softened in your pursuit of trying to get the spite platinum.
Yeah. I mean, I have all the online trophies for Red Dead 2. So, you know.
Hey, step in the right direction.
I don't know. I just think like those games were just good games that I just, but like, okay, you got to understand like how I am as a gamer. Like I stopped playing Final Fantasy 12 because I got lost in a dungeon twice and deleted it. Like that's what happens with me sometimes. So like I'll find a reason to just not finish something or be done with something. And then, you know, having actual complaints, I still think the combat in The Witcher 3 isn't great. I still think like there are standout quests in The Witcher 3, but there are some dumb shit quests, you know, and there's a lot of busy work too. Like that's all true, but everything else around it is super fun, is much better than I gave it credit for before. So I don't know. I think it depends. Like I think if I went and like spite platinumed Kingdom Hearts 1, I don't think I would sit here and be like, yeah, that's the greatest game of all time or whatever. Like I might do with Witcher, but you know.
But you also don't know that. I mean that quite literally. You don't know that.
You
haven't even beat the game.
I'm far enough where I know it's not going to beat The Witcher 3 in my head. So I got I got to Hercules.
That's not very far, Chris.
It's far enough.
Depending on order of operations, that's the third world, like possibly, that you could have gotten to.
Well, the other one I did the jungle.
Yeah, Deep Jungle, Wonderland.
Yeah,
Coliseum.
And then was there something with Ursula? Am I making that up?
You can go to the Little Mermaid, but I don't think you can go to the Little Mermaid before you can go to the Coliseum.
I think I did something where I left one of the areas because I was having trouble, and I mean,
you're supposed to go. You are supposed to go back to the Coliseum. Well, actually, most of the worlds there have got some reason to go back due to various story reasons or whatever.
Yeah,
so
I guess I'm not nearly as far as I thought I was in my head. I'll be real. I have 2 plot trophies.
Yeah. No, I knew. That's the only reason I said, if you had like almost beaten it, or if you had gotten like Monstro and were like, nah, I'd be like, you know what, maybe you're onto something there. Like maybe you just know, but
I'm not saying that like it's bad either. All I'm saying is like I mean, you might put it in this tier, but I don't think it's in the same tier as Red Dead or The Witcher 3. You know, so I think, you know, it's a lot easier for a game like that to break through, in my opinion. But
yeah,
we'll see. Maybe I'll play it this year. I've been thinking about it.
I mean, I think it depends on a number of things. I think one of the hardest things to go through is this age of a game, and that's we'll get to talk a little bit more about that when we do talk about what we've been playing. I think that someone 10 more years from now looking at a game like, Red Dead 1 may be like, there's some things about this I don't quite like because it's just even more dated than it currently is, right? Like I think if you play the PS5 version of Red Dead, it's probably dated, but it's not so bad. But I wonder.
Sorry.
Red Dead 1. Yeah, Red Dead 1.
I realized.
And the point that I'm kind of giving is like Red Dead came out in 08, 09, somewhere around there. 10.
Something wrong. 10.
Yeah,
I think it's
10. So, looking at that in 2035, we might look and go, 25 years on, this is kind of But it's or even 20 years, because I know you started playing Kingdom Hearts, but I think age of a game and how it feels next to its contemporaries of the modern time definitely does have an opinion on the way that you view it in a first playthrough. Sometimes in a positive light, sometimes in a negative light. Because I think sometimes people play like Final Fantasy 1 and they're like, "Oh, this is charming."
Yeah,
it's so
that's
simple.
how I felt when I platinumed it. I was like, "Oh, this is nice. It's very simple and it's fun." What if I played all of Kingdom Hearts backwards?
That would be really weird, but I would actually sort of be interested to see someone do it, just because if you could go into it with mostly no information, how would you feel?
I'll do it. I might as well do it backwards.
Start with 3.
Start with 3, and then I'll do the movie, and then Dream Drop Distance, and then what is it? 358 over 2 days. Did I get that right? I think I did get that right. 358 over 2 days.
You sort of got it right, but it's one of those names that's hard. It's 358 days over 2, which you would not think from the way
words
that it
were
looks.
all correct. That's fine.
And it looks like what you said. This is a matter of just how you pronounce it, as dumb as that is.
All right, that's a good experiment.
Because it's 358 days across 2 people.
Yeah, okay. Sure, man.
It divided amongst 2. So it's a weird choice. But for mine, there's a few where I always look. One of the ones that just felt so good in the moment, I always go towards Mortal Shell. I quite like that game. And I think that specifically its trophy run puts the game in its best light. And I think that when you do a trophy run for it and you do the no shell, I think you see all that the game really does have to offer. And it opens up. I already thought it was a great game, but prior to that, but as soon as I did that, I was like, oh, this game's really got something going for it. and I think it really lets the hardened mechanic, which is its unique take on the, how do we want to, I guess it's its unique addition to the Souls formula, since every game tries to do that, right? Like the Surge was like, you can get body parts off of people, and every game tries to do something unique. One of the ones I really liked about the original Lords of the Fallen, not the more recent one, was this idea that the more you held on to your experience without cashing it in at one of the orbs that you could go to, the crystals, then it started to accrue interest. So you had a multiplier based on the more experience that you shared. So if you really wanted to be risky and grind, you could get more and more and more experience. You can go back and really level up and crank out the game. And I always thought that was a neat idea. But regardless, with all that in mind, I'm trying to look at the games that came out that I did this year, because I think I platinumed the most games ever in a year this year, or this past year, for me. With that said, I don't think I didn't really have very many easy plats this year. I actually did a lot of difficult ones. I think that I have an argument to be made for getting the platinum in Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed. It's a really damn difficult platinum. Stardew's difficult, and I respect that platinum, but in many ways, I think the majority of the trophy list is anyone can do it if they just literally put their mind to it. Whereas Sonic's is very skill oriented. You have to just be good at the game's mechanics. You can't slow burn it over multiple years if you really wanted to. But the one trophy in Stardew that really changes that up is the trophy for beating the Prairie King game, or whatever the hell it's called. Without Journey taking damage. That's an insane, with no deaths or whatever it is.
It's the same thing. You can only get hit once. So.
You can only get hit once, yeah. So that one does flip that trophy back into being there's one trophy that really skews it. But I think for the most part, I don't know if I want to move them around, but I think if not Terraria, which I think is just a really cool one, Sonic Racing All-Stars Racing Transform, or maybe Titan Souls, because Titan Souls is a really cool platinum. It's one of those things where it pushes you once again to play the game in just such a weird way, but you start to be like, oh, I didn't even consider this. So I like that quite a bit. Let's flip the script though, Chris. We have been doing this trophy competition for years now, and I think we both understand that sometimes we have moved into the territory of games that are not really the most flattering trophies and platinums. I think I've done a pretty good job of minimizing that because I just don't want to. Like, there's a reason I don't have the My Name is Mayo platinums, even though I do think there are worse, by the way. I want to throw that out there. But I also don't have the games that I think are worse, so I'm okay. Point being, I have one game that I know without a doubt to be the one for me because I genuinely was about to quit playing the game and got the platinum, and I couldn't undo it because I was like, I don't even want the platinum in this. No, but it's a game called Road Bustle.
Okay.
And I think you have this platinum as well.
I'm fairly
because I'm pretty sure I downloaded it from yours because I was like, oh, it can't be that bad. And I downloaded it and I thought it was going to be like a Frogger game, right? Like, how do you move across the street without getting hit? And I remember that I did one run and I was like, all right, is there more to this? And then I did another run and then I was like, okay, I'm going to give it one more try and then I'm going to quit because I don't think I like this game. And on the third run, I got the platinum. And I thought to myself, what the fuck? I didn't even do anything. Like, I made it like 5 streets across or whatever it be. And so I don't remember it well because I had to look up the name of the game. I had to Google PS4 delivery game, easy platinum cross the road game.
You didn't just check your trophies?
I couldn't remember the fucking name. And so I had too many and I don't remember when I got it. So I was like, I don't know what it was in context to. But that is 100%. The fact that I don't remember its name, it's kind of like whenever you see in TV shows where it's like, oh, I've done a lot of terrible things to people, but I never thought I'd forget a girl's name. I forgot the girl's name. So that goes to show what it was. So do you have a particularly bad one on your list?
No, honestly, I don't feel bad about any of the platinums I have.
Is it because you don't think any of them are crappy platinums or just because you think that a platinum is a platinum?
Neither. Like, I don't know. Like, you could put stuff like Road Bustle. Sure, I got that platinum too, and I got Tokyo Run, which was one of the most racist games I've ever played in my life. It was crazy, but like I don't know. For me, like, I guess part of it is platinum is a platinum because I just enjoy popping platinums. Like, I just like seeing it and knowing I did it. But I don't know. There's some, like, I think I haven't really felt that because I stopped really going for a lot of these when we started doing the competition. So like something like Stack Zap, which I got this year, but like I don't even know if I would say I regretted that one because I did it in a party chat, like making a joke out of it, where I was searching through and I found a 5-cent game, and I was like, "Guys, what could this possibly be?" And then I played it for 20 minutes, share playing it, and popped the platinum. Like, so, like, I don't know. I think for me, if I had regrets about my trophy list, it's stuff that like I don't have that I should have. Like I'm one trophy away from Hotline Miami, and I'm one or two from Peggle 2, and both of those saves are gone. Like they were not in the cloud, so it's like I'm not doing it again. Especially Hotline Miami.
I think the way that I take the question, if you can hear my dogs barking, I'm sorry, but the way I take the interesting thing here is that the way you perceive the question has something on here. I think it goes to say something about my psychology because technically all he did was ask us what trophies you're proudest and what trophies your biggest regret. And I think you tend to view that as your proudest trophy is probably a platinum because it's kind of like a trophy above trophies, right? It's meant to signify something bigger. But then also on the flip side, when I started thinking about biggest regrets, I was already in the platinum mindset. And instead of thinking about biggest regret being a trophy I don't have. So for yours, I actually think the one I regret, but also I just don't because I think it'd make me hate a game that I adore otherwise, is I regret that I don't have the platinum because of one trophy for Nier Replicant and the original Nier. It's the same trophy for both games that makes me not have the platinum because I just can't bring myself to grind out leveling all the weapons all the way up because it's just incredibly boring.
It's funny because when you phrase the question differently, I have a different answer that's entirely obvious, and it's not a platinum.
Yeah,
It's Completionist Plus in Balatro is right now the most proud trophy I have. That took me a long time.
Yeah. And see, eventually Balatro will be like the Balatro Platinum will be the answer. But
exactly.
that Completionist Plus is on the road.
Yeah, that was like 3 years. Like, like, I don't remember exactly when it came out. 2 or 3 years of playing Balatro.
I half expected you to say that your biggest regret was Destiny 2.
It's funny. I thought
a bit
about it
because of the joke, that's just how it goes. But I did actually said the other day when we were playing, and I was talking about your Spite platinums. I was like, but Chris does have the platinum for Destiny 2, and I think he legitimately hated every second of getting that, or at least close.
A lot of it. Yeah, a lot of it.
I said, I know Chris likes the way the game feels to shoot in your hands. I don't think he likes anything else about that game.
No, I don't. But again, that Grandmaster Night Raid was the best time we had that whole, because the thing that like you leave out of that is that you and I collectively spent, well, I guess collectively is a bad way to say it, but we both spent 150 hours for one trophy to get that platinum, because that's what it took me. I don't know. I guess I don't know exactly what it took you, but it took me 150 hours for one trophy, not the whole list. One trophy.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to figure that out. But if yours was from a relative scratch, and I was coming back to get the trophy, the one trophy I'd been missing all those years, then it took me somewhere around 150 extra hours to go back and get one trophy that I was half a day short on getting at launch before they patched it to where you couldn't get it the way that Saul got it the day before me.
Oh no, that sucks.
Yeah, that one hurt. But it is what it is. So yeah, that's a good question. Just because maybe. You look through all these, and it is kind of interesting to just have this feeling of what's something I regret in trophies. And I think it's easy to regret something that you did just for a quick trophy hit. But honestly, because of how bad I felt about the Road Bustle one, I was like, never will I will look into a game if it looks questionable on how much of like a platinum it is. I just saw it on your list and was like, oh, Chris got the platinum. Maybe it's like a fun, short, like Ratalaika style platinum, where I don't think they're insanely great games, but I don't regret any of the Ratalaika platinums I have. I don't have all of them, mind you. Like, I think there's a game called like Dispo or something that I didn't get the platinum in because I was just like, I don't find this game fun. I'm just not going to do it. I could have. Still could, but it's just not doing it for me. So it's one of those things where if I don't, then I still just step away. And I think that's kind of what I regret about Road Bustle, is that I was literally like, oh, this game's not very good. I'm going to step away. And now I have a platinum, which, depending on how you view it, looks like a badge of honor. Like, look how much I like this game. And I don't like that game at all.
I think that's, you kind of like say something that like I kind of want to focus more on, is like enjoying the games that I platinum more,
Yeah, I think you've done a good job this year in trying to stick with playing games that you actually like more than I feel like you used to.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Well, it's like once I find a game, I'm in it, and that's the thing, is like I tend to not find games, which is why, like, I'm sure like I'll end up on like why did he just buy a bunch of these things? Because I didn't like any of the things I bought, so I bought other ones, and I still didn't like any of them. It's bad.
But every now and then you get an Octopath Traveler 0 and,
Kingdom Come 2.
So with that in mind, let's go ahead and scooch over to what we've been playing, because I actually am curious to hear you talk about the first game on your list before we talk about our other game. So Octopath Traveler 0, is this one of those things where it's technically a prequel to the first game, so they put the 0 to... Okay, I figured.
Yep.
I played Octopath 1 a bit, not a ton, but a bit on Switch. So my buddy let me borrow it. And I played like maybe 5 hours, and I thought it, first and foremost, looks incredible. But I think I was telling you earlier, in the bit that I was playing, I felt like it was a little clumsy to move around the world. Like, it didn't feel super intuitive. And I didn't think the combat was anything to necessarily write home about. I really feel like the story was probably great, and I didn't get to see all of that. So I don't judge it one way or the other because of the story. But I think a lot of people, when they talk about the story being interesting because of this 8-person storyline that interweaves slowly but surely. And then, of course, the way it looks. I think a lot of the reason that game excels is because of those two elements, which is not a big deal. Final Fantasy IV is a perfectly fine game, but it's a great story. And that's exactly what no one talks about Final Fantasy IV because of how good the gameplay was. So with that in mind, I feel like that's what's going on here. Do you feel like Octopath Traveler is kind of doing the same thing for you here, or do you find that you're liking the gameplay as well? Because you played some of one. Did you play two?
I did, yeah. I didn't beat it, but I played it. I don't know. It's I like the combat a lot. I think the combat's very fun. I like the story so far. It has like a town building element that I haven't gotten very far in yet, but I do like that aspect of like building this town back up. And like what I think, so from what I'm understanding is like you're the main character, and you know, you create your character, whatever, and you go through these towns and try and bring people back to Wishvale, which is what your place is called. And by doing that, you have to go through their story, right? And then you invite them back at the end of their stories. So I actually only have one person that I brought back so far, and I think that's a tutorial person, basically. So right now it seems like the stories are pretty long for the characters that I'm going on now. Like I'm on chapter 2 of all of them, including the main quest, but I had to stop and grind. So I think that's a lot of where, you know, this game goes, is a lot of the grinding and going through and doing the fighting, which I like. Like you have, so it does still maintain the 8-person battle thing, which is nice because you have your first 4 and then each of them has a backup, right? So you can swap between them at any time. So I think that aspect is cool. Like I didn't realize it for a while, so I'm like, why is this guy not in my party and not doing anything? And then like my main character would die because it auto attached to her, and then it's like he pops out and he's got a different set. So like now I've got it more optimized where like my 2 healers swap out. So I have everyone on the front line, excuse me, and then the 2 healers switch. But yeah, I think if you're into this type of game, which is it's so far, it's a cutscene simulator, which is cool. I don't mind it. I don't mind it anymore. I did mind it. And this is what I was going to talk to you about before the show until I'm like, we're going to talk about it in like 10 minutes. So I'm a very like distracted person. You know, like I'm always, especially during a cutscene, like I'm always checking something, which is why I'm, you know, I listen. And for a while, I thought that Octopath didn't have voice acting at all. So I was missing a lot of the story. And I come to realize that what I was doing, because I can read very fast, I had it on fast forward mode during cutscenes. So obviously there was no voice acting, but the dialogue is just moving. Right. Mm-hmm. And like when I'm paying attention, like it's fine. I can read the fast forwarded movement. Like I am again a good reader, but like I tend to look away. So I would miss like swaths of story. It turns out all I needed to do was not be fast forwarding and there would be voice acting. So that was my biggest criticism, was that I felt like the story kind of went by and the game didn't give you much of a like, hey, story's happening, you know, other than, you know, by the time you play the 15 hours that I've played of it, you realize like, hey, story is going to immediately happen after you fight something, or you're going to walk into the objective and a cutscene is going to happen, because that's what this game is. So if you like stuff like that, you know, the battle system is good. It's pretty straightforward, turn-based. You can power up your attacks I think I'm not 100% on this system yet. What I think happens is that if you do a regular attack without buffing, you gain a BP, which is how you buff your attacks. You can use up to 4 of them or 3 of them so far. That's how I'm pretty sure it works, but it's cool. So like our art style itself is really good. So like you'll hit, and you know this, everyone knows this, it's Octopath. You'll hit the like max buff on your ultimate, and then the camera kind of like swings around and everything's in 2D, but like kind of 3D. You understand what I mean? It's all kind of 3D, but it's in 2D, and it's like swinging around, and then he's on fire, and there's all these things coming out, and then you do this giant damage attack. So
I like really to call it kind of reminds me of like the drawn parts of the Plucky Squire, where it's like it's still a 2D thing with drawing, but the camera is moving in a 3D world, and you're just seeing the flatness that's like giving depth to the layers. Yeah,
exactly.
Which is a cool look. Yeah.
So it's cool. There's a lot of jobs. My main character is a dancer. So she uses like a fan and a sword, which to me is funny because right now I think it's called the Sword of the Fallen Soldier. And she's using this sword in battle, but she's walking around in like a hula skirt. And her main thing is she's a dancer. I think that's funny. Yeah, so far, like I think if you like story, you like the characters. I will say, from what I understand, there's hundreds of characters in this game, and that's because this game is an adjusted version of Octopath. I think it's called Champions of the Traveler. I downloaded it, which was dumb because again, it's the same game. Octopath. Well, the whole thing with the online game is that it's a NetEase gacha game. So all of these characters were gacha champions of the continent. So now you're just doing all of these quests. So I'm gathering that the stories are not as they don't hit as crazy as the original ones because it's not focused on the 8, it's focused on hundreds. But yeah, other than that, the fight I just did before we started the show, like it was a pretty crazy story moment that happens in there I was not expecting. So yeah, if all of that sounds interesting, I would say go for it.
Interesting. Well, before we talk about our final, I'll come through with mine in a little bit. So I played a bit of The Division, hopped in with one of our listeners, Jason, and another one of our listeners and longtime friend of the show, Ryan, otherwise known as Sweet Jones. And man, I would tell you, I wasn't paying, we were having a good time chatting it up, so I wasn't paying as much attention to the story since that game does really have story. And I was having a really good time with the actual mechanics. I think the game still looks and plays surprisingly well. And now that they've got the game in 60 frames per second on PS5, it feels really great. And, that I think you've had this too, where sometimes the extra smoothness of a game just makes it look better, even though technically speaking, in a lot of games, when you turn on, performance mode, it technically drops the image quality. But something about the smoothness takes it back up into the direction where it's like, I'm not going to say it looks better, but I prefer the way this looks, even though the other one looks cleaner. But it looks cleaner in stillness. It looks blurrier in motion, kind of thing,
I think I have a way to describe it how I see it that I'm pretty sure you will not understand. It's like, so everyone out there, right? It's like when you date someone for a really long time, right? And what's it called? Quality mode, right? Quality mode is what the world looks like when you're in that relationship, right? It's really pretty, but nothing is super serious. Like, oh, you're in the hunt, you're all happy and all this kind of stuff. When you break up with that person, that's performance mode, right? Where it's like, the world is a little bit darker and a little bit grayer, but you're on it. You know what I mean? You got dumped, she's dating your friend, and you're at the gym. You're locked in. That's performance mode. Quality mode is being in a happy, healthy relationship before she dumps you for her friend.
Chris, I'm sorry that you've ever been hurt this badly.
It's okay, man. That's life.
Because you're on it. Because you're fucking.
Yeah, I'm fucking locked in. Played hundreds of hours of Arc Raiders. We are going.
Well, before we start talking about Arc Raiders, which we'll get there, I think I mentioned this lightly on one of the episodes, maybe last week or maybe the one before, but I am bowing out of the trophy competition this year because thankfully I can say I got to wait until the votes run in and see, but I don't think there's a way that anyone can catch me. So I feel safe to say that I won this year.
Yeah, speaking of votes, if we're going to do that, people have got to nominate their stuff. Yeah, we all do, but I'm trying to say we got 6 days or 5 days from when this publishes.
We'll post it and we'll hit everyone on there and see what happens. If you're not in the Discord and you want to be part of the trophy competition this year, it's still early in the year. Hop in. It's whatever the date that you enter is the points that you have, and it's about growing from there. So you're at a little bit of a disadvantage, but this far in, not a bad one. Though I don't know what happened last year. Into the last half of the year, it got kind of quiet in there.
Yeah,
in the trophy talk, people were posting platinums here and there, sometimes strategically. I saw you, Josh. But this year,
that's pocket watching.
For first month, we got people just platinum. Here's one thing I know is that One Armed Wolf had 5 game setups where all he needed was 1 trophy to get the platinum. So it looks good, but from an actual point standpoint, not that great of a point move. But it looks cool, So that's kind of where I like it. I like the idea of there being if once we do, I think there should be community voted ones, but I think there should also just be objective markers. I think that there should be, regardless of the quality of them, if you got the most platinums, we give you an extra 500 points or 1,000, whatever it be. And then you could, that way you can kind of go through that. I think it'd be interesting just to see, because like sometimes it's like, well, if your strategy is low quality, low point, but a lot of them, you might make it up anyway. And if someone's going hard on really high value platinums, it'd be interesting to see where that goes, because then they may make that up with they got voted for the best platinum runs. And I think like the community voted most difficult platinum than anybody got that year. But like you said, it's all about how much work you put on the people who are in the trophy competition. But where I was going with this is I'm not in the trophy competition in any real sense. I'll be there. I'll see how I go, see where I land, but I have zero intention on worrying about it this year. What I do have intention on worrying about, as I've already started, is one of my buddies is a Final Fantasy X fanatic. He plays it all the time. Whenever the remaster came out on Vita in Japan and Korea, before it came out over here, he imported a copy from Korea and played the game without being able to read shit, which, I mean, I appreciate. I did the same thing when Crisis Core came out on PSP. I had the modded PSP. I played as much of the Japanese version as I could muster before I just got lost because I didn't know what it was asking for me to do. But we are playing this game with new saves fresh on the Vita. This is the US version of the game, so it doesn't have any. And we're going to see who can platinum the game the first. And Final Fantasy X is not a walk in the park platinum necessarily. So he's beating me right now just because he's had more time and he's very familiar with the game. But he's also being a really cool sport because he's telling me things that I should be aware of as to not miss. Okay. So, it's a real gentleman sport. So I've been playing Final Fantasy X for the first time since I played it in like 2005. I think it's the first time I played it and knew what the fuck I was talking about and doing. And it is weird coming back to a game that you think you remember, because I do and I don't,
Interesting.
It's like I'm playing it and like certain story moments happen and I'll be like, oh yeah, I kind of remember this. I didn't think about that. And then other things happen and I'm like, I thought this happened, but it doesn't happen. And then another thing is like, oh, I thought the gameplay felt and looked like this, but it didn't. And sometimes that's for the better. Sometimes it's for the worse. But it's really cool playing that game and kind of looking at the PS2-ness of it all, but also thinking like, this was like a fresh, huge PS2 RPG. And for the Vita, this is like a monstrous game, even with some of its weird aged quirks. This is like a beefy 3.2 gig Vita game that's really long. I mean, this is, for all intents and purposes of comparing them, this is like Persona 4 Golden in terms of quality and scope, maybe even technically a little bit above because of the fact that it was legitimately a console game that they were trying to push down. So it's really cool to play this and come back around to it. Blitzball still rips, but it's also frustrating all at the same time. So we'll see what happens. I learned the jet shot second try. Not bad. Not bad at all. Nice. I thought I had it the first time, got smacked in the face, locked in, put it in performance mode, as Chris said, and I got that shit done. So yeah, I am having a blast replaying this game, and kind of, I think it's something that you should occasionally do. I think if you haven't played something in like 20 years, hop in, see how the feeling that you had, definitely when you're a kid for one, see how it compares, because I think you'd be surprised at the things that you appreciate more now versus some of the things that you go, oh, I guess I appreciate them for what they are, but I see them for what they are also more than I did at the time. So it's pretty cool looking at a little a little moment in time capsule, and being able to play it on Vita is super cool. So crossplay is also nice and still works with the PS4 version. So I'm bouncing around and doing what I got to do. It's really cool. I'm enjoying that. So yeah, I will have more Final Fantasy talk to come along for 10 as I keep going through it. But for now, Chris, we have a question, which just brings us into what we're going to do anyway. Jehudi MD, longtime listener, longtime patron. He says, obligatory Arc Raiders escapades. I want to start with the bullshit that was last night.
Yeah, last night sucked.
Last night sucked hard. And I want to go ahead and qualify this. I mostly had a good time last night, despite the fact that I got out of one of like 7 runs. Chris got out of 0.
Yep.
And the one run I got out of, I didn't even have much.
Yeah.
I got out with my life. That was the valuable thing.
Exactly. Your guns. Oh man.
Yeah, I got a little bit, but
it was weird because like we were having good fights.
Oh, we were kicking ass left and right. But as they say, or as Sean likes to say, we kept getting third partied after doing super well and getting our stuff, bam, get hit. And it's just like, damn, all that fighting. And almost every time, it's like you said, we'd kick ass. And then I guess we'd get too locked into trying to get out or do something. And then I feel like almost every time we got killed, it was by people who were rocking like free kit level gear for the most part. Mm-hmm. Not every time, but it's like, I guess after all that intense fighting, and also we killed so many people who had like crazy good kits.
Yeah, there was one kit where I had my
we killed a dude with a bobcat.
Yes, you did almost get a bobcat.
Yeah. I mean, I got it. I just didn't make it out.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that sucked because that was like the best fight. I remember. I think I killed like 3 or 4 people that fight. You were popping off. It was great.
Yeah,
and then
and there was like what 8 bodies in that stairwell.
Yeah.
It's pretty great, dude.
That was
we
cool
were popping off.
It was nice. Like, we're good. I'm glad you've embraced the PvP a little bit more. It's been fun seeing you just be like, let's go, we're going.
No, it's just I guess in the same way you talked about performance mode, I'm just turning it on. That's not the way I play. If I'm playing by myself, I'm super cool, friendly, helpful. Sometimes that means you get stabbed in the back. For the most part, though, I enjoy the sense of community that comes with running solos and just seeing people being cool. I love that. And the few times I've had that happen, even running duos, we've had some cool run-ins with people on duos. It's not been all bad. Trios, I don't want to say legitimately shoot on sight, but trios, you really can't afford to hesitate.
I haven't found I haven't seen any situation we've been in, especially recently, that we could have been friendly in. You know what I mean?
I think lately, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the way that the game is just going or if it's new players coming in or longtime players. I really don't know what it is. But I do feel like there was a point in time early on when I first started playing with you guys where trios, we would sometimes run into cool people who would like run up on you and all 3 of them would like flash their flashlights and be like, we're cool, don't shoot, everybody good. And then we go our ways. I have felt it increasingly getting shoot on sight, but only for trios, which I think is good first and foremost. And there is still aggression-based matchmaking, which is like it's a big thing for the game right now. Some people really hate it and some people really love it. But I think one thing that's important to say is I think the best thing about it is it allows you to play the game you want to play. And as long as there's a high player count, it works. I did tell Jason when we were playing the Division the other night, I said the biggest problem I can see with aggression-based matchmaking is it's there, but if someone's trying to get in and they're trying to fill a lobby, they're not going to not fill a lobby because this person doesn't qualify. Sometimes you're going to get aggressive people because they need to fill the lobby. I was like, but the lower the player count gets, the harder it is to kind of sequester the people to a bit more of their play style while still occasionally throwing some surprises in. So eventually, aggression-based matchmaking doesn't matter if you get down to a low pool of people. Right now, the game's doing really well, sold 12 million copies, has like 900,000 concurrent players this past month. If it can keep the momentum it's got going, that is insane. If it can keep this momentum, I can see this game's aggression-based matchmaking working really well in the long term. And I think it kind of works because for me, I can play the way I want to play, but then I can hop on with you guys and play the way y'all want to play, and I don't have to feel bad about it or even worry about it messing with my matchmaking because for whatever reason, as long as I let you host, the moment I go back to rocking solos, it's like it only looked at me hosting and how I acted while I'm hosting, which is useful.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, mind you, but that's what it feels like because the moment I go back, or it's solos are just super cool. It could be either, or a bit of column A and B. Yeah.
I don't know. Part of me wonders if aggression-based matchmaking actually exists because I feel like it's just placebo.
Or if it's just a lie they throw out there to see if people believe it.
Like I kind of feel like you've convinced yourself that like no, solos are cool because of that, because of the way I play.
Oh no,
and I think that I think people are just a lot more of pussies in solo because I'm like that and I know I'm a good player, but like I don't want to fuck with you in solos because I don't want to take the chance of losing. Whereas like if I have you backing me up or if I have Sean backing me up, I'm not worried about it. I'm like I might still die, but I'm not worried about it.
Well, I said this the other day. I think the real reason is that normally if you're playing solos, I feel like it's usually because you have a goal that you're trying to accomplish that having to deal with other people would just muddy the waters on. And this may just be me bleeding my experience into it, but like for the most part, if we're playing trios and I'm like, hey, I'd like to do this, like I'd like to go get mushrooms, or I'd like to kill a bastion, or I'd like to kill a bombardier, 9 times out of 10 it doesn't really go that way. It just becomes we're fucking around playing PvP because you're having to contend with 3 people's wants, desires, and responses, how they respond to stuff going around them. So for me, I'm like, I don't care about the fact that there's players over there cracking shots. Let's fucking hide and run the other side of the map and get to the bombardier I'm wanting to fight. And Sean's like, let's go fucking crack them. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's what we're going to do, but it's not what I'm here for. So I found like, definitely like, okay, good example was like getting candleberries for the event, right? I was just like, I did almost all of that solos because I'm just like, I know what I'm going in for and I don't want anything to fuck with that.
Yeah.
So it's helpful for me to go in and be goal oriented. And I think that normally when I run into someone on solos, they're goal oriented. Whereas I think it's goal oriented away from PvP. When you get into duos and definitely when you get into trios, I think the goal becomes I'm wanting to get good shit from other people. And that's a perfectly valid goal. I just think that it's one that doesn't work as well in 1v1 unless that's just the way you want to be. You want to be like, I want to see how hard I can push. I still think it's a bit of both because I've noticed that the few times I have been chosen to be aggressive in solos because somebody was aggressive to me and I started acting in kind, shooting on sight, I noticed that generally speaking, it's more aggressive. And the more I back off, the more it goes back down. But you could be right. I may just be drinking something in the water. They said it exists. And so I'm going, well, that has to account for it. But I think it's also the play style fitting what your goal is. I think most people in solos are clearly trying to level up one of their workstations, finish a quest that they can't seem to get done when they're in it with a group, you know.
Yeah, I guess it's just for me, like, I feel like every time I've died in this game, it's because I chose not to shoot. Like, remember the time we died on the roof yesterday?
Yeah. You're talking about when we did Buried City?
Yeah, those were the guys ziplining that we let go.
You're positive?
Yes, because I was aiming at them and I had a shot and I didn't take it because I'm like, whatever. I'm letting them go. And it was the same fucking guy, same outfit. I mean, I guess it could technically be someone else, but I'm almost 100% sure those are the same people.
It was like 5 minutes later. It's possible though. Yeah.
Well, we were on this. We made moves to where, like, we went around kind of where they were going. Yeah, so they were right on us. And it's like, so that's how I've seen it, where it's like, even in solos, like, I won't shoot you. So, like, I feel like I die more often than not because, like, I come around a corner and get cracked with a Pharaoh. I'm like, okay, well, I'm at a severe disadvantage now. My shield's gone and my health is half dead. But, I don't do that to people very often.
Yeah.
So... And I feel like I should, because you know what? The Arc Raiders proves the thing, and you've seen it. The best way to loot is to kill other people. That's the best way to loot.
It's the best way to loot. It's not the best way to get sure.
Like if you're going in for, I guess plastic. But like,
okay, my point being, if you want something specific, you need to have that goal and be going towards it. But if your goal is just if what you mean by loot is get out with the biggest bag and
that's what
you can get. Yeah, the best way to do that is to kill other people. Though ideally the best way to do it is to kill other people when you know they have something, which is hard to pull off because sometimes you waste a lot of energy on people and then you go, it was fucking free kits and they hadn't even picked anything up. And now I'm down resources and I got nothing from this of value. Yeah. So now I need to go loot actually in the game to make up for the resources spent to fight these people who didn't have shit. And then it's even worse because like the free kits, you'll fight them and they'll use the one thing that you could use off of them, which is their shield recharges and heals. They'll use that shit up and then you kill them and you're like, I don't even get the thing that would at least help me continue.
Yep.
But with that in mind, I've gotten to where I field craft a lot more than I didn't think about it early game, but like the last 5 times that we've hopped on and played, I've been collecting fabric in the matches so that in the moment I can be like, I'm low on bandages. Your boy's going to make a few and just keep going.
I always forget about it. And then, but I also don't have to use it very often because I think it's part of my downfall. Like right now, so I'm doing I'm trying to at least finish the project for the expedition so I can take it whenever I want. That is a resource heavy accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've put in like $600,000 of resources into it, space bucks. So like the biggest bottleneck we all have right now of me playing is me doing the project because I'll hop on and be like, I don't have shit and I have no money. So you and Sean have been very nice of like, oh yeah, we'll bring you a kit. We're good. Like we'll go in or
you're my boy,
me doing free
first of all.
kits. Oh, I appreciate that.
And I have resources. So, I mean, dude, if we manage to get on and I think we should both legitimately free kit Stella. I didn't free kit at all yesterday. And I think that you were way more mad than I was. And I literally put resource after resource after resource into every match and just kept getting, not escaping with it, which in a way was fun.
I was trying to snowball up, and it was frustrating to like
we didn't snowball.
Never be able to do that at all because that's how I like to play. So like I guess to explain it, right? Like what me and Brett both do sometimes like is go into it's usually Stella Montes, but go into any run with a free kit. And then you just add a green augment onto you, and then you keep building that kit as you go through. So like some nights it's awesome because I'll be playing and I'll do a free kit run and then I'll win like 7 or 8 in a row. Where there was one night where I ended with a Bobcat and a Stitcher 3. And I was like, this is a sick kit. you know? So like it was awesome. And like I have little like, oh well, if I win a run and I take this gun and I have to repair it, okay, cool. But if I kill someone with this gun, that means it gets an upgrade the next time I come out. So like I'll keep upgrading my stuff and then I'll be like, okay, well, I've won 5 runs, so I can switch myself to a blue augment, that kind of thing. It's a lot of fun to play that way.
Yeah.
So that I think was what was pissing me off yesterday. And I get pissed off. I don't get pissed off losing a fight. I get pissed off losing a fight that I wasn't allowed to participate in. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, the rooftop one, I could tell got you more than any of them.
Yeah.
And then the next one, the final one for the night, that Stella Montes, where we literally opened a door trying to get away from a shredder, and you just got fucking ripped by those 2 dudes sitting in that medical bay.
So mad.
It was like, don't get me wrong, it's not, I don't say it's not fun. It's part of the game, but it's not the most fun thing to just open a door and get ripped. But it's made worse when you've been losing all night and you have, like, it feels like a really bad cap. It's just, and you could tell both of us were, as soon as it happened, we're like, yeah. Normally when it's a quick run like that, we're like 3 to 5 minutes into a run, something happens, we'll just be like, that doesn't count. We'll go one more. Mm-hmm. We were both like, nah, we're good. Just done. I'm out. I'm leaving.
You want to know what's very funny about that? I started Octopath and like 5 minutes in, I looked at the fucking Discord was calling me like the Joker mask, where I almost hit you up and I was like, freaking someone. Like I almost texted you like 5 minutes after we both logged off. Like, do you want to do one more? Are you sure? Like,
are you sure that you need to go to bed? Like, are you sure that that's your cutoff? Yeah.
Well, that was like the other night where I did need to go to bed, but we were all just like, fuck it. We played until 3:30
That was the night
time.
Before, and we were ripping ass.
It was sick. That was a great night.
Dude, that was so good. We killed so many bombardiers, first of all, so that was awesome. We got some surveyors done, which is something we needed to do. We were cracking players left and right and getting out with good shit. I mean, the only bad run of that night was the last run of the night too. I didn't get out with the patina blueprint. That's like the only truly bad thing that happened. I didn't even care about the kit that I had there. I had snowballed into it. So I was just like, whatever. But the patina blueprint hurt.
Yeah, it did. But and that's what I love about this game. It's just like, it's always fun to play. Even when you're like getting slightly discouraged, it's fun. And that's why like I'm glad I have a group to play with that makes it fun.
Yeah.
Because before, I think like we talked about, like I was not, falling off as strong, but I wasn't playing it as much. And it was because I wasn't having as much fun with the group that I was playing with. And now it's like we have a group who's like, you're more down to play than I ever expected you to be down to play any video game. And like, Sean's always down. I'm obviously always down. So like it's worked out to like a lot of good times, But so yeah, it's just been an interesting couple weeks.
Well, with that in mind, I think it's time for us to scooch on. We've talked a lot and we could still talk more, but I want to get done with this, not rush through it, but I want to get done with this so we have a chance of playing some tonight before I gotta go to sleep myself.
Go play our games.
Yeah. That's also a big part of why I'm behind in Final Fantasy X, because I'm just like, my buddy's over here messaging me while we're playing Arc Raiders, and he's like, I just got to Kilika. And I'm like, God damn, I'm not there yet. And then I get to Kilika, and he's like, I'm fucking leaving Luca right now. I'm like, God damn, okay. Well, let me, and then it's Arc Raiders side eye. Yeah, fuck it. I guess so.
We need to be super clear about something though. The last 4 or 5 times
no.
I have not hit you up. It's been very funny.
I hit you up. I hit you up yesterday.
Yeah, and the night before.
I can't remember the night. The night before was the Sean run. I think that was kind of just like a collective thing.
It's been the last 3 or 4 nights because I've been trying to take a break for the last 3 or 4 nights, and it's just not.
And
happening.
then okay, but I want to throw it out there. Right before we were supposed to record, Chris hits me up and goes, "Suggestion: Still a Mars free kid." So you asked me today.
I did. For sure.
After you were so pissed yesterday and hit me with the, it's always when I fucking get on, I say I don't even want, I didn't even think I wanted to play, but I got on because I got asked. I was like, sure, but I didn't really want to play, and that's why I fight. But
that might have been the most tilted I've been this whole time. Yesterday, I think that was
it. And it wasn't even that bad.
It wasn't.
It was just like it was like a little. It was exactly what it was. It was a little mini pity party that you need to make yourself feel slightly better about how bad things have been. That was your. I fucking hate this game.
It was.
And clearly I don't, because I keep playing the motherfucker. But
that's so good.
Let's get into the news. And the first piece of news, to absolutely nobody's surprise, Avowed is officially coming to PS5 on February 17th, which is about a year after it launched on Xbox and PC. Not shocking, but still good news for PlayStation folks who've been waiting it out. The bigger deal, the PS5 release lines up with a free anniversary update that everyone gets no matter where you play. A fairly sizable update. It brings New Game Plus, Photo Mode, which I'm surprised it didn't have day one, new playable races, a new weapon type, plus a bunch of quality of life improvements. So if you've already played Avowed, this might be your, hey, maybe jump back in update. And if you've been waiting it out to hit your platform of choice, well, PS5 players are basically getting the best version of the game right out of the gate, and at a $20 discount, with the game launching at $50 as opposed to the original $70 price point. Avowed is a really interesting game because I went from being incredibly excited about it and then rightfully understanding that a lot of my excitement was built on my own expectation that it was going to be,
Skyrim.
They're doing what they did with the Outer Worlds, where they're taking on, it's like we're doing Fallout on our own, and I really like the Outer Worlds, even though it's not Fallout. But it's more Fallout than I think Avowed is Skyrim still. And I think the biggest problem as I got into, because of that correlation and seeing the way they originally revealed it, I thought, oh, cool, we're going to get to see Obsidian take what I think now is Bethesda, who are kind of ineffective, at least in the last few games, and kind of show them how to do like a fantasy game. And it'd be cool because it's something that will hold us over until we get to see what Bethesda's really going to do with the Elder Scrolls 6. And yeah, so I was disappointed with what I was seeing from it, but I have yet to play it. And I think I started to move off of thinking of it as an RPG and thinking of it as an action game that just happens to take place in a world that typically has an RPG. It's more of an RPG in the way that God of War Ragnarok is an RPG, is what it feels like.
Yeah, it's kind of like Claire
from what I saw.
It's a action game wrapped up in an RPG setting.
Maybe when I play it, because you have played Avowed, right? I'm not mistaken.
I have. Yeah.
You have it on disc or what the hell? How did you play it?
No. PC Game Pass.
That's right.
I think I've been saying, and I think this is true, it's a 10 out of 10, 5 out of 10. That is what it is.
That's an interesting way to put it. Like, it's a really good middle of the road game.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you think you can't find fun in a 5 out of 10, I wouldn't play it. But if you can find fun in it, like, yeah, it's a good, bad game, mediocre game. Let's put it that way. It's a good, mediocre game.
Yeah.
It is somewhere below Alpha Protocol on that tier of video game.
Yeah. Well, and I'm curious to see what new playable races really means. Like, is it just visual, or does it actually have some kind of RPG mechanic to it?
I remember it having some effect on your character, but I don't remember it being significant. I think I just made my character hot like I always do, so it didn't matter much.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, and I'm not saying that this is what they're selling it as, this is more of a curiosity. Do you think that there's a way to lightly rebalance this game and relook at some aspects and basically nudge it to being more of a real RPG? Or do you think it would take too much ground up remaking to actually get it there? Like, what are the chances that this update actually makes it feel more RPG-ish, in your opinion?
I don't know. Probably not good. Like,
I think it's one of those things where what I'm asking is sometimes like a good example is like Anthem, where it's like what they started looking at with Anthem 2.0 was like fundamentally changing the structure of how the game worked. And so that took a lot of work, therefore a long development period. Some games I do feel like rest in this thing where all you got to do is kind of nudge them a little more in a direction they were already pointing, and you get to something that feels more like a representation of the thing that they were doing. Does this game feel like small nudges could push it to a point where you're like, I view this as more of an RPG now than I did, and it's less of just an action game, and now it's really an action RPG?
I think the biggest issue it has being called that is that it's a very static video game, you know? And like it
doesn't react to you.
Yeah, it doesn't react to you very much. The people in the towns are very MMO, you know, and I think that's the thing is like supposedly this was a multiplayer game, and it feels that way. It feels like, you know, you go through and you hear, "Hi, welcome to blah blah blah," over and over again because that's what the character is programmed to do. And I think to make it into something more immersive, it would need to be basically completely remade because they'd have to have those interactions and all that kind of stuff. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say that it doesn't have the trappings of an RPG because you get a quest and it has a quest marker and you go there and you fight on the way there and you loot items. But even then I felt like it was one of those games where like I was breaking stuff to get nothing, you know? And like, to be clear, like maybe some of the stuff I'm saying isn't completely accurate. I played this at the beginning of the year. Beginning of last year. So it's not the most fresh thing in the world to me, but I just remember feeling like it was wearing Fallout skin to take me to combat sequences. You know what I mean? So I guess maybe they could do it, but like, it's not going to feel like Skyrim or even Fallout or even Outer Worlds. Is that what's called? Outer Worlds? What was that? That was hard for me. I kept wanting to say Outer Scrolls, which doesn't make it. I guess it actually makes a ton of sense. So yeah, it was just odd. It's an odd game that I don't think feels the way you want it to feel for what it seems like it wants to be. That's all.
Yeah. But that's where like one of my friends was having a conversation of doing that. And Saul and I both, this is at game night, we were kind of like, you know, I'm not saying what you're saying about the game is inherently wrong, but at the same time, I think if you're judging it against how good of an RPG it is when it's really not an RPG, and that expectation came not from the game, but from people wanting the game to be an RPG, then I think you have to take a step back and go, okay, is it a good game at what it's trying to do? And I still don't know the answer to that, but I don't think it's fair to say that, oh, look how bad Avowed is because it doesn't do this, this, or this, or this that you'd expect an RPG to do. Yeah. Okay, but is it an RPG? And if it's not, then it doesn't really matter that it doesn't do this or this or this that an RPG would be expected to do because it doesn't claim to be an RPG. Yeah. So why does it matter?
Look, the best recommendation I can give Avowed, and this is really all I really have to say about it, right? Is like seeing it announced for PlayStation 5 made me go, oh, okay, I'll get the platinum. Like that's how I felt.
Honestly, that's like, pretty good.
That seems like that's a recommendation. You know, it's not like it certainly wasn't. Oh, Resident Evil 9's got to wait. It's definitely not that. But like I will be playing
if I find the time year. Yeah. Dude, I'm excited to play this. I mean, I'm excited in I finally get to quench my curiosity around it. And thankfully I get to do it at a lower price point.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to come on this show in like whatever the closest show to March 3rd, you're going to be like, yes. Yeah, this game's pretty good. I like this game.
Yeah. It seems like it. And I guess last question, I know you played it on PC Game Pass, but I know that even playing it at PC Game Pass, I trust your ability to look at what you're playing and be like, I am playing this for this amount of money, but they are asking this amount of money for it, $70. I feel like everything I've seen about this game, I feel like this being positioned at $50 is probably where the game always should have been. Do you feel like you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so. It's actually going to be interesting to see, and maybe I'm a bad metric for it because I'll buy games and never play them. But I'm curious if I'm the one who buys it, it might be you. But
no, it'll be me. I got you.
Bet. So I guess it won't change at all. But I'm curious, like if playing something on Game Pass and enjoying it, because I just all it took me for Game Pass was installing it, right? and then purchasing the game and realizing, oh, I paid for this, and I'm a little more turned off than I was when I just said, oh, fuck it, it's fun. You know,
I mean, look, if you want to buy it so that you can have that moment of curiosity figured out for you, I'll buy whatever the next game is. It didn't really matter to me, but originally I did intend to buy this. So
I'm not $50 curious if I'll like it after playing it for free.
Yeah, for sure. Just imagine that you used your reward points for $50 at PSN.
There we go.
Because look, I actually do feel the need to tell people that when they're like, oh, you bought a game. How do you feel? Do you feel like it was worth it? I was like, I feel 99.99% confident that my opinion would not change on this, whether I spent literal $70 that I earned or if I spent credit, like rewards points that I had received for this. I don't see that having a big impact. But there is something to be said that ultimately you still might be able to chalk up you're being a little bit lighter on it because you didn't have to put real skin in it. I didn't like take food off of a plate one day to buy this game like someone might have to do. Like, oh, I had to downgrade my steak on Thursday to spaghetti so I could get this and it didn't feel worth it. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's true. I'm also not in that category of spending. So even if I did spend the 50, it's not going to affect what I eat. So maybe that's not but point being, some people have that. And so I like to tell people, I think I'm probably more generous on a value proposition because I genuinely have no problems paying $70 even for an 8-hour thing that I really enjoy. But I have the monetary flexibility to be able to pull that off. So always know that when you hear me talking about games, my sense of value is based on my relation to money. And if your relation to money is different than mine, then you might not find the same sense of value for your game. Just depends. Moving on. This next one's kind of in a similar vein, but Fable, Forza Horizon 6, and Game Freak's creative break from Pokemon Beast of Reincarnation are officially lined up for Xbox's next Developer Direct showcase on January 22nd, 2026, where Microsoft will stream gameplay and updates straight from the studios behind them. Highlights to look out for: Playground Games is giving us a big first deep dive into the new Fable, hopefully showing some gameplay finally of the reboot and its take on Lionhead's beloved series. The same studio, Playground, is showing Forza Horizon 6, the next open world racer set in Japan, with the huge playground style map that has led to the series becoming a sales juggernaut. And lastly, there's Beast of Reincarnation, an action RPG from Game Freak. Yes, that Game Freak, with some unique mechanics, a story-driven vibe, and an art style that is a big departure from the often lamented Pokemon games of the Switch generation. After reports have shown that the bet to bring their games across the console aisle to a new audience has shaken out well for Microsoft, there is zero reason to believe that this showcase should not be looked at as a broad gaming showcase for almost all players. Chris, I am quite the fan of this format, the developer directs where they go into these. I think it's cool. You get to see more of the game. You get to hear the developers talk a little bit about what they are. Maybe it's not for everybody, but I like the format better than what we were talking about with the Game Awards, where it's just trailer, and most of the time there's no gameplay. This gives a moment for them to show gameplay, explain why they felt this way. Given that I love Fable and I'm very curious to see what this is, so I'm curious to see Fable. Not as big of a Forza fan, but I'm also curious to see what's happening with Beast of Reincarnation. I don't know if I'll watch this in terms of, I may watch this in pieces as I have time rather than watching it at the moment. But are you excited for anything here? You think this is a cool showcase?
Yeah, I mean, really, there's only one thing I'm excited for. Fallout New Vegas Remastered. Otherwise, I could give a shit less about any of these, really.
We'll talk about that. We'll see. We'll see when we get there.
I will say, look, I'm fascinated to see Fable. Don't care about the game. Need to know if it's PlayStation Day One.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I care about the game because I don't know what this game is. And I don't mean that disparagingly to anybody. I'm not supposed to know what this game is. The problem I have is that a lot of people look at me and go, oh, you must be so excited for this game because it's Fable. Then I have to remind everybody, the only Fable game I truly love is the first game. I think Fable 2 is okay, and I never played Fable 3 because Fable 2 wasn't that good. So point being, I have a different view of what I want Fable to be and what Fable maybe even is for the majority of its life cycle. And then there's still, how is this making changes to it? My hope is that this just looks like a good game that I want to play, and that for as much as possible, I can, as long as it looks good, I can decouple the fact that it's called Fable and it's part of that universe if I just think it looks looks good. My biggest hope is that somehow it manages to capture the weirdness and the kind of goofball, oddball nature that the first Fable had that I love so much, and still do new things with it. And it feels more like a sequel to Fable than we ever actually got. I'd be pretty happy with that. That seems unlikely, and I don't know that it's even a smart move to do on a market level. Like, I don't think that that's what the gaming market wants so much as what I want, but maybe it's possible. So I'm excited, but more in the I'm excited to finally see if I should be excited. That's the way to throw that out there. And I do think Beast of Reincarnation just looks interesting. Anytime that the Game Freak does anything that's not Pokemon, I find it interesting. Like, a lot of people don't know they did this game back in like 2013 called Timbo the Badass Elephant.
The Badass Elephant, yep.
Yeah, dude, that game's awesome.
Banger.
And so I think that they're an interesting studio because they seldom get to peek out from their Pokemon shackles. But when they do, I think that they have a tendency to do something that feels like you wouldn't expect it from Pokemon. You wouldn't expect the people who make Pokemon to make a game with that kind of language in it. Timbo is actually, from being real to what it is, it's probably more like Pokemon in game design, art style, and all that than what this is. This looks kind of crazy from them.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect
it's
this.
Cool. Yeah, so we'll see what comes of it. But don't have too much more to say about that.
I want to see it, but I know less about what that is than Fable.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, because at least Fable has something that it's aiming toward, which is to be like a game that you already know exists.
Right. It's going to be a whimsical RPG where I can fart on people. That's going to be in Fable. This could be anything.
Dude, first of all, if you can't, they should have not even put the Fable name on here. If I can't like burp and have it affect my social standing, what am I doing? Like, you know?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? But we'll see.
True.
Time will tell.
Exactly.
Time will tell. Next thing up, according to a leaked rating from Europe's Game Board, Peggy, a brand new unannounced entry in the Life is Strange series has just popped up online, tentatively called Life is Strange Reunion, and it showed up early in the rating database as many other games have managed before an announcement could be made. Fans are especially buzzing because the leak suggests this could reunite Max Caulfield and Chloe Price, the emotional heart of the original Life is Strange, at Caledon University, picking up on threads from the recent Double Exposure title. That's a divisive game. I don't love or hate it. I had a decent time with it. No official trailer, no release window, or confirmation yet, of course. But rating leaks like this usually show up right before a real reveal, so it feels like something Square Enix might announce soon. I wouldn't expect this to necessarily pop up in a developer direct. I guess all things are possible through Christ who wills it, but I don't think he's going to will this one. I don't know. Chris, I know that you've played the Life is Strange games. Did you play Double Exposure? I bought it. You have access to it, but I don't think you made it around to it, right?
No, I've only played Life is Strange 1.
Yeah. Double Exposure is this weird game where I had fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
It has problems. That's a lot of games, so that's nothing new. But I think one of the things that's kind of just been happening since they've moved Don't Nod away from the series is that every game feels like it's trying to live up to what Don't Nod actually brought to the table. Even though, like, regardless of how you feel about it, you may not like Life is Strange, but I think if you can objectively look at what Life is Strange is and did, and look at what the new games are doing, it's like they're trying to wear its skin. Like, they killed it, shoved its body in the walls, cut its skin off, wore it as a suit, and was like, look, I'm Life is Strange. And that's not terrible, you know? It looks like Life is Strange, smells like a somewhat decaying Life is Strange, doesn't sound quite like Life is Strange because, you know, the body of the of the husk can't match. But all the same, I don't hate it. And I think that there's been mixed levels of good. But I think since Life is Strange 2, the last game that Don't Nod actually worked on, I think it's just been a wave of okay at minimum, which is not a bad. I don't think any Life is Strange game is genuinely bad yet. And that's better than could be said of some series. So let it be what it is.
I don't understand why this isn't an anthology series.
It was meant to be.
It has such a good name for an anthology series.
Which is why Life is Strange 2 has nothing to do with any of them. And True Colors doesn't. The thing is that for as often as it's been able to be an anthology series, it also keeps trying to be a direct sequel.
Yeah, they undermine it every time.
But I think it's because Square wants it to be a direct sequel because they saw, people like Max and Chloe. Give them more Max and Chloe. Well, we can't give them more Max and Chloe, but we can give them Chloe and her friend from the first game that no one knew anything about. Look at that. We've got Before the Storm. And Before the Storm is not bad, but it's not Life is Strange. And it's not Life is Strange 2. Both of those are much better and much more interesting games because they have different mechanics. They rely on different things, different characters with different motivations and different worldviews. And I agree. This series needs to go back to at least being, because look, I think True Colors is ultimately a more interesting, I don't know if I'd say better, but it's a more interesting game than Double Exposure. Double Exposure has interesting ideas, but because it wants to rely on this character and worlds that you've already had, it's got a little bit of a, there feels like there's a refusal to step away from a story that didn't really need to continue. And I didn't hate it. Again, I like aspects of it. It just feels weird to suddenly go back to Max.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, whatever. We don't need to talk too much about it. I just didn't like the characters very much. They were fine for the story, but like in Life is Strange.
Oh, you're talking about in the first game?
Yeah, they're fine enough, but I don't understand the like undying love for these characters, but it's just me.
It's interesting because it's kind of like the discussion, and I am one of the many people who has the Last of Us didn't need a sequel. That doesn't mean that I think the sequel's bad, but I think that the ending of the first game is just so good and it leaves you in a spot that's more interesting to wonder on. Thankfully, the second game still leaves you on something to wonder about. But I don't, if I'm being honest, I don't think that what the second game leaves you to wonder about is as compelling as the first games. All that said, I think Life is Strange's characters work really well, and I think the story they tell, definitely the ending I got, left me with plenty to wonder on, that I do have a fondness for those characters.
Okay.
But I didn't have that, I need more of them. I would love to be proven wrong, right? Like, Max was not bad in Double Exposure. So, but I would love for Reunion to somehow make this work and me go, I'm eating crow, fucking mouthful, give me a bib. This is incredible, and I was just wrong. I don't see that happening, though. That doesn't mean I won't play it. I've liked the series, and I like the type of game it is. There's not a lot of those types of games, so I enjoy them as they come. But I do feel like they could be handled better, and one of the biggest problems that Square Enix has is just getting an IP, and a lot of people have this problem, realistically, getting an IP, forgetting that the person who made the IP is a big part of why the IP worked, and then trying to move it on to someone else and just never getting there.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That's fair.
Watch this be some crazy shit where they pull Don't Nod back, and this is not Deck 9. I have a feeling it's going to be Deck 9, though. We'll find out.
It'll be the 9 decks.
Be the 9 decks. This next one is, well, let's just get into it. PlayStation recently revealed the Hyperpop Collection, a new wave of DualSense controllers and console covers with these really loud neon gradient color schemes. They're launching in March. Pre-orders go live mid-January, and if you're into bold designs, you'll probably think that they look pretty cool. But here's where it gets a little frustrating. And honestly, I feel like a broken record because I just keep saying this, but PlayStation still isn't supporting PS5 Pro owners with this stuff. No Pro plates, just a standard console again. And that's becoming a bit of a pattern here. If you bought the more expensive system, you're basically locked out of every cosmetic initiative that they do. I wouldn't say it's like a deal breaker to tell somebody not to buy a PS5 Pro, but it is weird. I think Sony clearly went into this generation and continues throughout the generation to care about customization and aesthetics and their ability to make extra money off of it. But there's a growing chunk of their most invested users, which is what I think Pro people are. You don't buy a Pro without being super into the ecosystem. And True. I feel like we just keep getting ignored. So at some point, it stops feeling like an oversight, which is a word that was used in the Discord earlier this week when we're talking about this stuff. And it feels like a choice. I don't really think that there's any way for them to back up that this is not a choice that they have made. More so, they had the ability when designing the Pro to make sure that the Pro's plate, what do you even call those? The tabs or whatever they hold the plates on. They could have ensured that those lined up between the Slim and the Pro like everyone thought. And they just didn't. And the only plates that they've released were a incredibly limited, beautiful, but an incredibly limited number of Ghost of Tsushima, or Ghost of Yotei rather, plates. I think the problem I have here is I get that the Pro didn't just light the world on fire sales-wise. It probably didn't sell as well as the PS4 Pro did, but you've already got money from people that you made pay a premium. You marked it up considerably because of what it is, and I'm okay with that. Why do I need to be left out of being able to have my console be customized just because you don't want to look at that part of the market? I think I would love to see something, even if it was just like a thing from them, like be honest about it first and foremost. Come out and say, listen, you may notice that there's no pro plates. It's because there's a low number of pro people. That would be great. That would be an acknowledgement. It would make you feel like, well, I understand the reasoning. But what I'd really love to see is just we understand that people want them. They're going to be a little bit more money because there's less to be made. And we're only going to make the ones that are pre-ordered. So here's a pre-order window. You pre-order it and we will only sell to the people who pre-ordered it. We're going to make as many as were pre-ordered and we'll ship them to whoever pre-orders it. And we'll move on about our time. I don't think Sony has it in them to do that. But they also have plenty of relationships with plenty of people that they could easily license this out. And they also haven't done that. So you're left in a weird spot. It's not that big of a deal. It really isn't. But it's just annoying. And I don't really know how much you feel impacted by it. But it just feels dumb to be on the... I still love the Pro. I think I'm glad I bought it. I think it does a lot of good stuff. But it sucks. to be locked out of this.
It does. I wish they would come over, but I'm also not like, oh no, I can't spend $70 on plates either. So it's something where like I understand your frustration. I just don't relate to it. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, I think this is one of those pick your battles, and I think a lot of people are just not going to have this one be one. But I think it also depends. Like, I'm not big on customization either, but if you're going to offer it and you're going to say, hey, you can remove the plates on here, if you were going to do this to begin with, why even make removable plates for the Pro? You should have had the only one that's removable be the one that lets you swap out the disk drive because you need to be able to go up to the one with the disk insert.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Yeah. I mean, again, I totally see why. And I was disappointed when I saw these and I was like, oh, cool. I would buy one of these controllers and I would buy a plate and I can't buy a plate. But I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Still got me on a controller. I'll get another one.
I do. I don't know if I'd go as far as to put some of these on my console because they're a little loud. But I do like the gradient look. That's pretty neat.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that too. I like the red one. It's not that loud.
No, it's not. The red one's the most reasonable of them all.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
What I do like to see is that Xbox has been doing this for quite a while. It's back in the Xbox One generation where they were doing like these gradient controller schemes. And then my favorite one were these like phantom gradients where there'd be a color on top and then they'd gradient down to being clear. I just thought that's super cool looking. And I think that would actually make a neat looking plate.
Speaking of which, how have we not gotten a clear PS5 controller yet?
Blows my mind. But if you remember, it was quite a bit into the PS4 before we got the clear DualShock 4.
That's true. It's just such a good look for controllers.
I think it's a cool look for electronics in any way. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder, though, is that just we're kids of the 90s and that phenomena happened in the 90s? Like, is it that I think that the design thing is cool and I just happen to live at the same time of it? Or is it that I was raised in a period where that was the thing? And so I was like molded into liking it. And so now I just can't get away from it because it doesn't matter what electronic it is. See-through shit's cool. I would kill to have a phone that you could just see the components on the inside. I think that would be so fucking sweet. But I also like tech. And I think I've realized a lot of it for me is I like being able to see the working parts.
Did you, when you were in high school, was your screensaver the Matrix select numbers?
Mine was, oh boy. I had a screensaver that was one of the motion ones where it was the Matrix thing falling across my background. And I thought that shit was so cool. And then I remember when I first modded the PSP, I was able to have a version of that on the home screen that was like scrolling in the back. I had it on PS3 as well with one of the... I thought this is super neat looking. This is like...
Thought so.
Yeah.
Dork.
But
no, I'm joking.
Dork. Can't stop dreaming of Zion. Anyway.
Let's go to the next one. These are cool colors.
They are cool colors. And I hope that if you see them and you're excited about it and you have a PS5 Slim, go for it. I think there's also a reasonable argument to be made about the fact that they so quickly moved on from making any plates for the original body because a lot of people still have the original body. But we won't get into that. That's at least not on the market anymore. Support the shit that's on the market. Let's move on. There's reports swirling around the Fallout franchise, as Chris kind of hinted at earlier, that's got folks talking. According to reports from a couple of industry insiders, Jess Gordon being one of them as well, both Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas are potentially getting remakes or remasters. And on top of that, Fallout 5 might already be greenlit too, even if it's still a long way off. For years, people have been hoping these classic Bethesda and Obsidian RPGs would get the good modern updates. And it sounds like sources are now saying that work is underway on updated versions of both games, possibly similar in style to how Oblivion got refreshed last year. And while there's no official announcement from Bethesda or Xbox yet, this is definitely one of those rumors that feels like it's building towards something more concrete, especially with all the renewed interest in the franchise thanks to some things like the Fallout TV series and the fact that Fallout 3 Remastered was on the same GeForce Now leak that showed Oblivion Remastered. So this feels pretty likely for Fallout 3 for sure. New Vegas is the part where we get into this new layer. And I stumbled into this in a weird way. We were playing Arc Raiders and I was on Reddit looking at some stuff and while we were waiting in between, and I saw something that said Bethesda UK sponsored post, and it was like a guide to Fallout. And you click on it. And so I did, and I clicked on it, and it was like, these are Fallout games and their setup and why you might like them, and it may be a good entry point for you into the series. And it didn't have Fallout 1, it didn't have Fallout 2, it didn't have Fallout 3. It had Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, had Fallout Shelter, had Fallout 76, and it had Fallout New Vegas. The other three are all available on modern consoles and easily able to get. New Vegas is available through backwards compatibility, though so is Fallout 3, but it's not. Whenever it said platforms listed under it, it said Xbox Series S and X, which could be arguably the backwards compatible. But then it said PS4, PS5, which you could again make the argument. Maybe they're talking about streaming through PS Now. But I don't think that that's what's going on here. It seems likely that this included information that wasn't quite supposed to go out yet for the fact that this is coming. And then Chris was like, yeah, there's a countdown on the TV show. Here's the interesting news. I don't know if you've heard this yet, Chris. Jez Corden did say he's confirmed that there is work happening for a New Vegas remaster. Take that with what you will, but I think Jez is a pretty reliable source for this stuff, definitely when it comes to Xbox Insider stuff. But he said that the countdown has nothing to do with Fallout New Vegas Remastered, and that Fallout New Vegas Remastered has only recently started development. And so we should probably expect to see a Fallout 3 remastered before we see Fallout New Vegas remastered.
You think we'll see Fallout 3 before 4?
That's what he said. Or before New Vegas. I think is what I said, but if I didn't, I meant
you
Fallout
did.
3 remastered before New Vegas remastered.
Good. The better one should come out first.
New Vegas should come out first. I agree.
No,
but it's okay.
You're just wrong.
You know what I'll tell you? I'll give you this, Chris. If we talk about better, meaning which one's more stable and runs better, Fallout 3 is the better game in that particular regard.
That's actually a good point. New Vegas is invalidated because it's unplayable.
Yeah, it's the biggest. Okay, but this also goes towards my reason as to why I actually would be more excited to see New Vegas come first, and that's because of the two. If you're playing them, definitely if you're playing them on PlayStation 3. If you're playing them on 360, it's not as bad. They're still not stable on 360. I just want to throw that out there. Both of these games, including Oblivion, all run like ass on every console version and every PC version, but thankfully modders know how to fix Bethesda's games. New Vegas and 3 run pretty rough on PS3, but New Vegas has a lot of bugs by way of being made in a shoestring amount of time. 18 months for a game of that size is really interesting. Also on an engine that is known for having huge issues, on a deadline that they could not miss. I get why it's there, but it means that all of those compounding issues just keep growing and growing and growing. So New Vegas way more quickly hits a point where it's frustrating to play than 3 does. 3, I would argue, for the most part on PlayStation 3, even doesn't hit that point. It'll crash more often later in the game. Usually it'll have a little bit of frame rate chugs, but it plays. New Vegas has like game-breaking bugs and crazy performance as the thing keeps growing, has crazy memory leaks. It'll start to, as Chris said when he was getting to platinum, it'll just start to run depending on what's happening.
Frames per minute.
Yeah, you can have frames per minute, which is an insane thing to even say. Yeah. But it is true. And so if either of them need the treatment more, New Vegas does. But on top of that, if we look at what the Oblivion Remastered brought, it needs more than just that. They need to legitimately go into the game and fix some of the bugs. Because one of the biggest problems for Oblivion Remastered is it did run better and it did look better. It still had almost every bug. It's like they did not go in and try and fix anything else, but they were like, we fixed the combat. We made the combat a little different. We made the leveling different. Could you not fix the shit that doesn't work? Could you not download the unofficial the unofficial Elder Scrolls mod that every game in the series has. Pay the modder for it and just bake it into your code so that all the dumb shit that modders fix day one on these games is at least fixed.
Yeah, I'm so a little surprised they don't do that. I will say, only thing I need, if they take out the duct tape sound when you repair, if they take out repairing, first of all, I'll be pissed. But if they take out the duct tape sound from repairing, I'll be even more pissed off. I don't know why they took that out of Fallout 4. It is awesome. Dude, it's legitimately every run I've ever played of Fallout 4, I have 100 repair. Every single one. Like, I leave it. Yeah. Fallout 3, but
there's a lot of things they took out in Fallout 4. Whether or not you think they're good or bad things, Fallout 4 changed a lot.
Yeah, compelling dialogue being one of them.
Well, yeah. But that's okay. This is cool. I think that after playing Oblivion and seeing so many people run the whole gamut of being excited to play Oblivion for the first time ever and falling in love with it versus some people playing it and being like, holy shit, this is dated and I don't really like this. It's exciting to see new people come to something that they've heard so much about. I think New Vegas needs this more than any Bethesda game, truthfully speaking. And I know it's technically not a Bethesda game, but it was published by Bethesda, so shut the fuck up and just take it. But 3 needs it too. I am excited to go back and play 3 for the first time. And I'm specifically waiting. I thought about playing it on PS3, but I want to play it with that fresh coat of paint and with hopefully some of these bugs fixed. I want to see it through that new lens and be like, how do I feel about this game? Recompare them. And I would love to be able to do that with both of them. Now, Chris, if your little suggestion's right and they come out and shadow drop New Vegas during the developer direct, I'll be fucking stoked. But go ahead, what were you gonna say?
No, I'm just thinking about like how good Fallout 3 is. I'm like, we'll get to see Tranquility Lane. We're gonna get to see Liberty Prime and oh my god. Okay.
It's going to be interesting.
I'm going to cry when it's just Todd Howard. Todd Howard's not even there. It's like Phil Spencer, and the lights are low, and then you just hear the song "I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire" starts. I'll cry.
So, Chris, I have a very important question for you regarding Fallout 3. And a lot of this comes from, I don't remember if you saw much about it, but I'm sure you saw at least a little bit about it. And I don't completely disagree with it. Oblivion Remastered looks pretty good. It has some moments where it looks like every Unreal game. But for the most part, I think it looks pretty good. But it did lose a little magic of how weird the original Oblivion actually looks. It's like highly saturated greens, and it just has like this weird mystical component to it just from the way that it plays in the original. And that was gone. It looked really good, though. But I think one of the good things about Fallout is there's not as many games that share this style. I don't think that they can drift towards what they did with Oblivion, where it's like it kind of drifted towards generic fantasy a little bit. I don't think that they can do that as easily with Fallout. But thinking about the overtly strong green saturation in Oblivion, should the Fallout 3 remaster have the piss filter or not?
Yeah. It should have everything that Fallout 3 has.
And would you care if they made it to where it's on by default, but you can turn it off? Or vice versa? Like, what if it was like, hey, we're showing the game without it, but you can turn it on if you love to play the game with that sense of, nostalgia?
I mean, I don't know. I think it'll be fine either way. I think, to me, Fallout 3, and maybe I'm crazy, but Fallout 3, I feel like lends itself to being upgraded graphically more than Oblivion did, because I think a lot of what Oblivion does is like exactly what you're saying and stuff that like you probably couldn't do in Unreal Engine, but given the old tech and the way that stuff looked, it looked that way. I feel like Fallout 3 is just like, I don't know, it's it's modern but not, you know what I mean?
Well, you're probably look of it all. I don't even mean this with any disrespect. I'm throwing this out there. I think because of the type of world that Fallout's trying to show and the way it needed to show that, I think it was harder for them to pull that look off in a way that felt as good. I remember, despite loving Fallout 3, I remember as I was playing it, I was like, this is 2 years after Oblivion, but I think this looks worse than Oblivion. I think the game looks worse, but I think it has the potential to be pushed much further. And I think a lot of it was their first time making a game with that style of art, whereas they've been making Elder Scrolls games for a long time. And I think that they figured out how to make each one look and feel a certain way. Like where Morrowind has a very specific look and feel to it. Oblivion has this very specific look. I think that they were trying to do that with Fallout, but didn't quite know how to get there. So there's a lot of times where I'm like, Fallout looks more dated to me. Fallout 3 looks more dated than Oblivion even did. And I think it's because it doesn't have that weird, ethereal, dreamy look that Oblivion had to help disguise that to a degree. And so exactly. I think the moment that I see a Fallout 3 remastered, I'm going to be like, oh shit, in a way that I remember being like, oh shit about the Oblivion remaster, but in a like, that looks really good and a lot better, but I still don't have a problem with the way it originally looked. And I think I think when they do comparison shots for Fallout 3, I'm going to be like, yeah, fuck the way it did look. I mean, the new, but we'll see. I actually do like the green filter, by the way. I just know that that's like a much maligned thing of that generation of games. People did not like the games that used green. My thing is, I always felt like Fallout 3 had a really good reason why it was there. It's baked into the world and the lore.
It's radiated.
And it works.
Yeah. I will say, I don't know how you feel about this, but like I kind of hope it isn't announced at the developer direct.
Yeah.
Because I thought that Oblivion was a little anticlimactic. Where
the
like
shadow drop?
Not the shadow drop, but the way that they talked about it, where it was like Oblivion's coming and we're gonna have a bunch of people talk about what they did. Yeah, I'm not trying to belittle the devs, like that's cool. But like to me, like I want the end of an Xbox showcase or a Microsoft showcase or a state of play, wherever the fuck.
Oh, you wanted one more thing, and then they just shut the fuck up and be like, playable now.
No, not even that. I want the way I would want to see it revealed is do the exact same trailer,
but remade,
but in your new graphics engine. Yeah, make that exact same trailer with. I don't want to set the world on fire and. You see the light bulb and then you pull out of the radio and then you see all of that. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Give me a 40-second trailer that says playable now, $499, and I'm buying it right now. You know? That's what I want personally. PlayStation has dynamic pricing. Prove me wrong. You put it up there for $499, I'm buying it. So I'm ready to go. I'm in quality performance mode as I said. I'm in performance mode for that.
I'm in my performance mode era.
That, unironically, I hope none of my bosses listen. I will not be going to work if that gets shadow dropped. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not coming. I'm sick. I've been irradiated. I'm becoming a ghoul.
I got the radiation poisoning.
Exactly. I was hanging out in DC and I got fucked up by a deathclaw. I'm not going to work.
No, actually, that would be a really, hey man, I was in DC this weekend, got really messed up. Like basically tell the story of the game and just be like, I can't make it in, man. I'm just, I'm feeling kind of wild.
That'd be great. Hey, so
I lost my dad.
I was at my other job and I got given this package and this guy shot me in the head. So I'm not coming to work.
A roach showed up on my birthday, ruined everything.
I know that like I'm a one in a kind boss in this way. If one of my employees called me and said that, I'd give them the day off.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Plus it was a Wednesday. But any other day of the week, you're good. Take the day off.
Like, dude, even those like, and I say this just as it is, you know those cringy things that they were putting out, like the developers putting out a note for you to turn into your boss to be like, I'm out this day because The Witcher 3 launched or Cyberpunk 27. Those are kind of cheesy to me. I kind of think they're cringy. But if someone actually had the balls and I was the boss and someone had the balls to print that out and be like, my doctor told me to give this to you, even though it's cringy, I'd be like, yeah, you get the day off. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. One of my employees was like, he was saying like, oh, because when he first started, Battlefield 6 was coming out. He was like, yeah, I was going to ask you for the day off, but I was a little worried about it, blah, blah. And I was like, why? I took the day off. Like, you should have just let me know. Like, I took vacation time to play Oblivion. Like, what are we talking about? Like, who do you think I am?
Just talk to me.
Yeah, dude.
Talk to me. Well, Chris, another strong rumor floating around states that The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt might actually be getting a new expansion in 2026. It's not officially confirmed yet. Again, rumor, but multiple industry whispers and comments from CD Projekt Red leadership, including hints about, quote, new content coming this year, have folks thinking we could see something substantial drop for the now decade-old game. This would be more than just a tiny add-on like some updates past, as the chatter suggests it could be another proper story expansion and even serve as a bridge toward the upcoming The Witcher 4 down the line, which makes a ton of sense. Now, whether that entails a Blood and Wine level release remains to be seen. And again, it's all rumor mill stuff right now. Nothing's been officially announced, but this could be smoke for an eventual fire. I think the interesting thing I have here is, as soon as I heard this rumor, I thought this actually makes sense. This game still sells really well. And then I started going, for a game that had a really fucked up life, ultimately speaking, we got new DLC for a fucking remastered version of, help me out here, Chris.
Kingdoms of
Amalur Reckoning. Yes. So thank you. We got new DLC for a game that never stood a good chance to begin with. It came out from a developer that went bankrupt. It didn't really blow the world on fire like sales-wise when it released. It didn't do it again with the re-release. It didn't do bad from what I understand. But we got DLC for that. There is no world where I think that it's impossible for us to get The Witcher 3 DLC in 2026 when that game still sells like probably 1 million copies minimum a year. This seems likely, and this seems like a good way to for people who are seeing The Witcher 4 and are excited but have still never played The Witcher 3. This is a good way for you to go, hey, you know how you never played The Witcher 3? We're just giving you one more reason. We're going to have a story thing that leads us into The Witcher 4. It takes place in The Witcher 3's game world. The only thing I could see people being like is, yeah, but it would require them to return back to the Red Engine, which they have moved away from. They're using Unreal now, but that's not really difficult to do. They had to do the same thing popping back into Kingdoms of Amalur. They had to go into its custom tech. So It's not impossible. I think it makes a lot of sense. And if you're not aiming to do a bunch of crazy stuff, technically speaking, you're just trying to do new content within certain constraints of performance. They were already in the game not long ago to do the PS5 next gen upgrade. I mean, I guess it's been 5 years, but point being, they've already been in it. Do it again.
Yeah. I like when people do this stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Because
to be fair, I'm probably not going to play it, but it's interesting.
Oh, yeah. I might play it because I think the rumor is that it's a prequel to Witcher 4. So that might be the reason I give it. But yeah, I think I know Borderlands 2 did this before 3. So it's cool. I like when people do this stuff. So do it more. Even though I won't support it. Do it more. Now here's the real question. Do you think this is strictly a free DLC, or do you think this is going to be like a paid DLC? They said it from the rumor was that it's as big as Blood and Wine,
which is that's a big DLC. From everything I understand, haven't played it. Blood and Wine is essentially like a whole new campaign.
Yeah, from what I gather, it's that exact thing. It's a whole storyline.
That's crazy. Definitely, because one of the things I really like about CD Projekt Red's DLC, and one of the things I don't like about some of the more recent DLC I played, like I did not like that the DLC for Forbidden West was post storyline for Forbidden West. I get it, but I think that it creates a weird moment where sometimes you look at a game like The Witcher 3, to have the DLC be specifically after the end of something can have some weird repercussions to what the end of that game was trying to pull off. I think The Witcher 3 has a really cool ending.
It does.
I don't know that DLC could ruin that, because the DLC, if it's meant to be ushering us into 4 as some kind of a prequel, it would make sense to me that it would actually need to take place after the end of The Witcher 3. And from what I saw from Blood and Wine and the other, those are DLCs that are a lot like Phantom Liberty. You don't. It's not post-game. It's separate content that just happens in addition to the story, but it doesn't happen after the story. So I think it'd be interesting to see them finally actually do a post-DLC or a post-end-game DLC, as long as it's doing the job of bridging us to The Witcher 4. Here's the interesting thing, though. When seeing people say that this is to hold us over until The Witcher 4, that leads me to believe that The Witcher 4, which was originally, if I'm not mistaken, slated to release this year, is probably not releasing this year.
There's no shot it's releasing this year.
I didn't think so anyway, to throw that out there. But you know where it really shifted for me? The moment that they moved Grand Theft Auto 6 back is when I was like, I don't think CD Projekt Red even wants to be around it. And the only way that they could avoid it now is to release The Witcher 4 like in January, February, March. And they're not going to do that. They're not ready for that. So I think that they just go, no, it's 2027. We'll do it down the line.
We'll know when The Witcher 4 is coming out when we get the release date for Horizon 3.
Fair enough. I don't have much more to say about this, but it's cool.
No, but I wonder if people are calling this a Witcher 3 DLC, and this is more like Ground Zeroes.
Oh, like it's a standalone DLC that you don't even have to have The Witcher 3 for?
Yeah, well, my thought is like it's the thought thing you said. They have to go back to the Red Engine, and I wonder if they're like, this is a Witcher 3 DLC.
This is our first Unreal.
Yeah, we're showing you what it looks like. You'll get it's Witcher 3 DLC because you play as Geralt probably, and then you realize, oh, you're transitioning over to Ciri at the end.
I mean, maybe. It doesn't really feel like I would go as to calling that DLC, but I think that would be equally as interesting as actually releasing DLC to The Witcher 3 right now. I think both are they have merit and they're interesting and they do something unique. Coming back to a game that's 11 years old at this point and adding DLC to it for a game that you're about to come up with is a cool idea. It's also equally cool to do. I know that for some people they'll get this. Like for anybody who doesn't know the Ground Zeroes one, if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, this is Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Prologue 0.2, whatever the fuck it was called. It's hey, here's the new tech. And it's a story it's a story moment that matters, and that they consider that like a pseudo sequel to Birth by Sleep because it dealt with characters from Birth by Sleep leading into the events of 3. It was great. I really enjoyed it. It was short. It gave you a taste of what you should expect from a combat and tech level for Kingdom Hearts 3 when it eventually released, and it was cool. Which is exactly what Ground Zeroes was. Ground Zeroes is like, this is kind of what you can expect from 5. We'll see in a year or two,
Yeah.
Which is cool. I'd like to see that. That'd be exciting just because then I could actually see whether or not they could make the games look like. I was very skeptical of that Unreal showcase where they were like pretending to play it, but also I didn't think they were actually playing it. Like they had a controller in their hand, but didn't do anything to make it look like they were even interacting with the controller. Like it looked like they only did it to be like, look, guys, it's playing in real time.
Yeah.
But
we're
I would
aligned
be
with the
curious
PlayStation. I don't know.
yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I think it's neat at the very least. So
it is neat.
Yeah. Price point $30.
Yeah.
20.
30. I could see $39.99.
I could see that. I'm gonna stick with 30. I'm gonna stick with 30.
I'm gonna go 40.
Nice. We'll see who gets it. Put $1 on it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
There we go. I got $1 on it. The last topic we have comes from one of our listeners on our Discord, Bring the Pain. And recently we saw a pretty stark example of how rough the games industry can be behind the scenes. Ubisoft quietly shut down its Halifax studio in Canada, Nova Scotia specifically, laying off around 70 people just weeks after the workers there voted to form a union. The company insists the closure was part of ongoing cost-cutting and restructuring that's been happening for a couple of years now, which is true, a broader streamlining effort, and that the decision was made before the union vote. But understandably, a lot of folks are raising eyebrow at the timing, saying it surely looks suspicious to close a studio right after it unionizes. It's one of those stories that sits at the intersection of business decisions, workplace changes, all that with a healthy or maybe unhealthy dose of social discourse. And it's likely not the last time we'll hear something like this in the current industry climate, because for as often as studios are closing, we hear more and more talk about unionizing. And I think the worst thing here is that I can genuinely believe that this really was already happening before the unionization, because Ubisoft's been in a rough spot for a while and they've been trying to sell themselves. And what do you do when you're trying to sell yourselves? You trim the fat and cut unnecessary things. And one of the most important things to look at for this Halifax studio is they didn't work on any specific mainline entries of a game. They were like a little support studio for random things. They are one of the easiest things to cut without impacting your actual ability to produce. But it could be they're unionizing and we were already on the fence about them. Close them. So I don't know, Chris.
Makes
I think
sense.
anytime that you get into any industry, and this is just true, like I work at a place that's not unionized. I don't think it's a big deal. I know some people who work in industries where unions are a possibility and they can choose to join them if they want to do so. And I've heard valid arguments from friends of why they wanted to join and valid arguments as to why they didn't want to join. And I think sometimes there is a tendency with unions for people to look at them out and about, right? Like the social discourse around them, the public discourse, is for people who are not actually even in unions having strong opinions that unions are a fix-all and that every industry needs to be unionized and it will be a great thing and there's no downsides. I think that's often the way that union talk looks. I think it's foolish to think that unions are immediately a save-all and a good thing. I think it's foolish to think that unions cannot be a bad thing in their own right with their own problems that are not corporately related. Both can be true. corporations can have issues with the way they're set up and people can want more of them. And then unions can expect too much and create divides among workers who don't want to pay union dues and deal with the problems of being in a union, which is actually one of the biggest reasons I have a friend who chose not to get into one, is that he felt like it created a weird divide, whether he was in it or not. He felt like there was a divide amongst his workplace people and they had to pay dues and stuff that he was just like, I don't see the value in it. And I don't like what it's done to our workplace, because prior to unionization, everybody was kind of cool with each other. And now that unions exist, if you join them, you're pariahed. If you don't join them, you're pariahed. So he's like, I just kind of went with, I was going fine before it was here. I don't see the need for it. And I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I don't know. But I wish that people would stop going, unions are inherently good, companies are inherently bad. I think that that's woefully overstating, it's way too simplified. Like it's simplifying everything down to just something that just can't be true. Chris, I don't know, does food service have much unionization in it? Is that even something you've ever brushed up against?
It is. I was in the Stop and Shop union over here. I was 16. I hated it. So
you hated the union?
Oh, it was so expensive, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, I would think it's $7.25 and half my check is going to a union. Like, bro, I'm fucking 16. I want to go buy some weed. What are you talking about? Like, I don't give a fuck about the union. I'm here bagging groceries. Get off my dick. Like, I don't know. The only thing I remember about it is that it prevented me from getting fired once. And that was it.
And which is cool. My thing there is like, is that really valuable enough? And then I think sometimes, right, like when I'm looking at it, one of the things I often hear from people on both sides of like, the upper management and lower management, I've seen people be like, it actually makes it really difficult to fire ineffective people, which is a problem. You should be able to get rid of ineffective people. People go, no, it's somebody's livelihood. Well, if it's their livelihood, they need to not be ineffective. I mean, there are people who would be a more effective, they don't have to be perfect. We're not asking for a perfect employee. But if you're a more often than not ineffective employee who causes issues often, we should have some ability, some recourse to get rid of you. And I've seen, or I've heard rather, I'll say that I've heard people be able to hold on to jobs that they probably shouldn't have. And what do you often see in media? And then you get into this weird thing where there are unions for acting and for writing. And even in acting and writing, you have conversations talking about the downsides of potential unionization. And it's something, teachers unions is a really good, common way that teachers manage to get away with doing some pretty heinous shit. Not always, but they can be bad teachers and still just get paid to go sit in a room because they can't get fired because teacher union makes it hard. Those are just little examples. And by no means am I trying to paint the unionization efforts in one light. I really genuinely don't know. But I could tell that Bring the Pain put this in here because he thought it was a overall negative thing. It is a negative thing that a studio was shut down. 70 people lost their livelihood. But as something that happened earlier, right? There was some talk earlier about Meta. I didn't include it in the news because I didn't think it was really that big of a deal for this, but I'll mention it here as a comparison point. Meta recently closed Sanzaru Games and Pixel, I can't remember the name. They closed like 3 studios. Not Pixel Opus. That was the one that Sony shut down. But regardless, whatever it is, they shut down 3 studios. And one of them was Sanzaru Games, which is, I think, was a good studio. They made Sly 4, which is not an amazing game, but it's a good game. I really enjoyed it. And they Twisted Pixel. They also shut down Ready at Dawn about a year ago, or about 6 months ago, somewhere in that ballpark. Point being is that both of those are studios that I think put out really good work, and I don't think ever quite got the chance to show their stuff the way that I feel like they could have. And so, of course, part of me mourns that and goes, oh, it sucks that Meta shut them down. But then part of me also has to really confront the fact that, is there a chance, and I think that there is, that both Sanzaru and Ready at Dawn would have closed much earlier had they not been bought out and got years to at least be a VR studio from a company I don't really care about. The reality is that it's likely that they would have never made it as far as they did. And so I was going to lose them either way. At least people had jobs for a few more years before they got closed down. And that's what makes this kind of stuff complicated. I think it's really difficult to look at this and be able to strongly give in here, because I also think a lot of people don't have the time or the ability to educate themselves on what this is and what it looks like. And I think instead what you get is a lot of people, this is important for me that I don't do this. I think what you see is a lot of people in media, both on social media and on podcasts and things like that, immediately saying, they unionized, that was great, Ubisoft sucks because they shut them down. Ubisoft, first of all, Ubisoft does suck. They clearly do a lot of crazy shit and make weird choices, but whatever. I don't think that I can look you in the eye and say that this is an inherently evil, awful thing. I also think there's reasonable doubt that this did happen because Ubisoft has been cutting studios and trying to sell themselves. It makes sense that they could have made this decision before they knew anything about the union vote.
Yeah.
One of the things that's weird about unions is that they normally happen in the background in secret.
Yeah.
One of the things about closures is that they usually happen in the background in secret. You're telling me there's not a world where both of these things were come to a more or less a decision, and then basically when both of them showed their hand, it was I hate to tell you, you want to unionize, and that's cool, and we're happy for you, but we were already shutting you down. So it seems
it's kind of like it reminds me of like, you know, every once in a while, because there's been a couple closers in the company that I work for, and like every once in a while, my staff will be like, "Oh, Chris, are we going to close? You got to let me know so I can look for another job." And like I just look at them, I'm like, guys, if they were going to close, I'll find out the same day
when
as you
find out.
And I'll be on an unemployment the same day as you because they need us to work until that last day comes. And then they're going to be like, "No, we're done."
Yeah.
That's how it's going to happen, you know? So it's the same here.
Which, if you want to look at that practice and go, why did they not know that before they started doing all that? Well, then you have to go to the flip side. Why didn't the company know that you were trying to unionize? You know, maybe they did, but usually it does happen kind of, like I said, in the background. It's something that sneaks up on a lot of companies. Because even like, but I know this from just friends, FedEx actively goes out of their way to have policies that they put in place to be union-like in an effort to stop people from unionizing. So like they adopt union-like policies, but without bringing a union in. That way people don't have to pay these fees, and there's not this inability to so it's basically being like, you want a union, we'll give you all the things for the most part that a union would give you, but you don't have to deal with union fees, and we don't have to deal with being unable to fire people who aren't good fits for this company. And I think that I'm not saying it's perfect, but on paper, I like the concept of that approach a lot better. Let's meet in the middle. We'll give you some of the union things. You'll benefit, and we'll benefit from not having to have a union involved. But maybe that's oversimplified. You know, it's interesting to me that you've been in one. One of the things I will say is I do get this sense that within America, you don't see a lot of unions in the South. They exist, but they're not very common. That feels like something that's a lot more common in more densely populated, bigger cities, like bigger hubs, like the Northeast, where there's a lot of big cities kind of clumped into each other. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just the way I feel because of where I live and my experience. So, yeah. All that to say, I'm not demonizing anyone. I am lamenting, as anyone would, the loss of employment for so many people and how that's going to impact them. I hope myself that I never get laid off, because I'm sure it's a fucking awful feeling when it really matters. The only time I've been laid off is when the restaurant that I work for got closed. We knew it was coming because CVS bought it out, and we knew what our last day was going to be. And I already had another job that I'd been working alongside it, so I just picked up more hours at that job. It didn't feel the same when I was a teenager. You know, I was living on my own, but I didn't have a family to feed, so we'll see what it is. But with that, Chris, that is the end of the news.
Oh.
But you know what it's not the end of? It's not the end of the show, Chris.
Oh.
We got 2 listener questions, my guy.
Oh, fuck yeah. What are we doing?
This next one's heavy again, but then we're going to end on one that's a little lighter. No Fate is back around from earlier in the episode. Longtime listener, longtime patron. He says, Happy New Year. With AI on the rise as a tool, if you were a young adult teen, what line of work do you think people may benefit more from in the years to come? So basically, and this is interesting. I have a 10-year-old daughter, soon, not about 4 or 5 months away from being 11. And the conversation of how to approach what career she might even be loosely interested in feels like it might be a moving target depending on how things go with AI. So, Chris, what would you think would be a line of work that would be beneficial to end up in given the AI push?
Probably a trade. I know that's like a typical answer, but like plumbing, HVAC, welding, auto repair. Like, actually, honestly, welding, you probably not. But HVAC repair, all these kind of things. I think that seems like the best one. Like, I guess food service to a degree, but you don't make any money doing food service, so it shouldn't be anyone's career. It's miserable.
Like you only make some money if you're in management. Like that's typically what I hear from people is like, yeah. But it's like the only way that you even really make a real long-term livable situation is getting to management. Which
exactly.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of jobs, but Agreed. Like, I don't know, because I think honestly, like medicine, but even that to a degree can be AIified. But I think anything like people facing, like where you have to see someone, like sales, I think you'd be fine.
I'm curious about that, because like I sell office furniture, but one of the other things that is common within the type of businesses that I work for is that they sell like printing and promotional items and apparel items. And one of the things that's happened because of the simpleness of the internet is that a lot of those items have gotten very hard for you to sell because there's always people who can do it simple and easy and just order it themselves online because the tools are easy to do so. People can easily intuit putting a graphic on a t-shirt and telling someone to ship it to them. It's not that difficult. You can do that with printing as well. Furniture seems to be this interesting thing where you have to have much more of an understanding of like, okay, depending on what it is, there's electrical components. How does the electrical go in? How do I have to consider this? How do I space plan? Do I have that skill set? So there's parts of me that wonder, how easily can those things be taken and simplified through a computer? I think it's possible, but I think that, like you said, I think my specific brand of it has a little bit of people still feel the need to have someone come in, show them the space, recreate it. There's special programs that exist right now for you to like draw your house into like a specific, or your building, whatever it is, into a specific room, and space plan around it and know all these different colors. There's thousands of options. Maybe. And like you said, food service, I think you could look at that and go, some of these things could be AIified, but I don't know that you could ever fully take people out of a kitchen and a floor. Like, right? You're muted, bud.
God damn it. You would still need me to do ordering and stuff like that. But I think the concern with AI is like, you probably need me less, so you probably pay me less. I don't think it depends on what aspect of food service we're looking at. Fast food, I think McDonald's, you don't have a job at McDonald's. You don't have a job at Wendy's. You don't have a job at Burger King. You don't have a job at like a Popeyes or a Raising Cane's or a Whataburger or an In-N-Out. Oh, actually, In-N-Out probably would. It's privately owned. But those type of places, I don't think you have jobs, because McDonald's is already mostly fucking computers. I don't mean to break it for you, but the insult of you're going to flip burgers at McDonald's is not a real insult, because nobody flips the burgers at McDonald's. You put all the burgers on the grill, and then you press a button, and a clamshell comes down, and you take them off. That's it. So that I think can be replaced. But like, a specific thing about like a bartender, right? Nobody cares. Nobody goes to a bar for the drinks, really. Like some people do. Obviously, like, yeah, we're gonna go to drink, but like, it's a different experience if a robot is pouring your fucking mojito. And I think, that's the thing. Like, again, it depends on your clientele, but like I always joke with my bartenders, but it is an objective fact. Like, the guy I have working at my bar has to work 10 times harder than the girl. And, that's just true. But people value that. People value him because he's a funny guy and he talks to you and he jokes and all this kind of stuff. And she is also great. She talks to you and does all this stuff. She's hot. So like,
and men are simple creatures.
Well, dude, that's what like,
There's actually an irony. I say that. I have literally never tipped someone because they were hot, because one of the biggest problems I've actually had is that anytime a girl is hot, and I know that most guys fall for the trap, and I don't even blame them.
Oh, God.
But like,
idiots.
I actually like Hooters food. It's pretty good. Okay. Every time I've ever gone to Hooters, I get shit service because I don't just bend over backwards to like stroke the egos of these girls. And so my service sucks. And I tip well. So now I feel in this weird position where every time I just don't go because I don't ever feel like tipping the way I normally would because I don't get the service that I should have gotten because there's dudes over there oogling and ogling and they're just hoping that if they bend over backwards and do everything that they'll leave them a super fat tip and it won't matter that they didn't get one for me. Yeah. And you know what? That's their prerogative, more to them. But it's funny that I say that. I've literally never tipped someone more because they're hot. I don't even care. I just want my service to be good. Because you know why I go to eat? I go to eat because I don't want to deal with the cleanup, the setup. I want to go somewhere, be able to talk to my friends and family and hang out with them and play games with my daughter and talk with my wife and just have someone cook my food for me, bring it out, clean it up for me. And when I say clean it up for me, I still stack all the plates. And I work food service. I basically bust a table for them and leave it ready to go and still tip them because the value I get out of it is I got to enjoy that as a more social experiment than I know that people talk often about like, well, you just sit around the kitchen, the table in your dining room and talk with your family and stuff. I do that. I just often do that at a restaurant. And I don't have I got to run real quick and go get the rolls out and spend 20 minutes doing this and this and that. That just doesn't happen. Nobody has to do that. It's handled for us. And I value that a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't think AI can replace that.
No, but you're also not the target audience, right?
True.
You're a not piece of shit married man, I cater to piece of shit married men,
My specialty.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think people want that personal experience from a bartender. They want that personal experience from a server. Some people, I don't think a lot of people, but some people want to know like, oh, there's a chef back there and he made this special and he's passionate about it. That's all stuff that you can't replicate. So I think a lot of the stuff that are very people facing will be okay. But I think if you were going to get into a trade, it should be like something that someone has to do with their hands. You have to go down there and unclog the toilet, that kind of stuff. Like that's what you should be doing.
Let me ask you this, because I think this might come to pass, and this is long term, but something I can see happening in our lifetimes, right? Say we're in the AI boom right now, and it's happening. 30 years from now, we're going to be like 60s. What do you think the chances are that the same social things that seem to happen to almost literally everything happens again? And for a period of that 30 years, we see more and more and more jobs start to go away, less and less and less face-to-face, even for jobs where you expect it, and people become more okay with it and used to it. But then eventually the counterculture rises and people start being like, I know that this is how things are, but it doesn't have to be. And I can go somewhere where I talk to a dude who made my burger for me, and I chit-chat at the diner with the dude who's cooking my egg in front of me, and we're talking shit about what he's got going on in his life. And I value that. And so I go out of my way to do that. And I bring this up for two reasons. Number one, religion. This is a really interesting one, but religion recently has been, after a cultural downshift and Christianity being at like a low for a lot of countries. I think the US is like 54% religious in 2021, 20, something like that. And the recent time they did it in a 5-year period, it's gone up like 17 points. It's like 67% of people consider a relationship with a god to be very important to them. And that seems in part to be part of the counterculture of just being like, I'm tired. Like, it's like, I just want to go to church because I feel like that's something I'm missing in my life. And then you flip that back around where for 20 years, or not even 20, like 15 years, we've been slowly drifting towards all the music being streamed and everything, right? But what's been happening? Recently, vinyls are popping off. People want physical media. People are making CD players again and selling them. I saw fucking CD players, a nice one, in TJ Maxx the other day. And artists are starting to put their albums back out on CD, on tape, cassette tape, and vinyl, and they're selling more than the digital versions are sometimes. That's interesting. And it goes to show that eventually it seems like people shift back to wanting the thing that they originally thought was a problem, so they did away with it. And then they go, oh, it wasn't a problem. It was kind of a nice limitation to have, and it forced me to interact with stuff differently. I wonder if that happens on the AI level, where it just starts being like, it won't go completely away, but we'll reevaluate and shift things back around to more positions are going to go back to being human oriented just because we find new value in that. And then it'll shift again. And do you think that there's a chance for that?
No, not really.
Interesting.
Like, there is, to a degree, right? There's always going to be places in like fucking Portland where it's going to be the whole thing is like, well, there's no AI here, no technology. That's gonna happen. But the thing is, like, even in what you're talking about, right? I'd be willing to bet that 99% of the people who buy vinyls listen to their music on Spotify.
I mean, yeah, you're probably right. I'm not pushing it. I buy vinyl. I love them.
I do too.
I still listen to the majority of my music just by nature of how it goes.
My point is that it will for sure exist. But the thing is, right? And I don't want to sound too fucking AI fucking dick sucker or whatever, but like, if I can go to a McDonald's and I know every time my burger is going to be hot and fresh, and you tell me it's because an AI is back there doing it, I'm fine with that.
That's
like in the long term, I am fine with that because, you know, I'm a big guy. Every time I've tried to lose weight, I always do this thing where like I go out for like a quote unquote final meal, and every time I've gone to fucking McDonald's, it sucks. The burger is not hot enough, or the burger's really hot and it tastes fucking delicious, but the fries have been there for fucking 18 years.
Yeah, it's a fun but also great moment when you actually get a banging burger and banging fries. You're like, the gods have smiled upon me. What has happened?
Exactly. Yeah. That's why you always go to McDonald's when it's busy. For the record, you always go when it's busy.
You go when they have to cook to keep up.
Exactly. You know, so I think there's always going to be like, oh, okay, we got to go to this restaurant for our date and for our whatever, and oh, we're looking for this kind of food. But like fast food, people are the most convenient things that can be made better by AI. People will resist it for a while, and then they're going to realize, oh, I've been to McDonald's multiple times, and I didn't even realize that there were no people working there. But my shit's fantastic. And then people are going to continue to take the convenience. And then I think the sad reality of that is like, wait for the day when maybe it doesn't happen because of corporate greed, but I would be willing to bet, get ready for that dollar menu to come back because they're not paying anybody, right? And then that's where we're going to look at it and be like, oh, McDonald's went from $18 for a fucking two McDoubles and a Diet Pep. What the fuck? A Dr. Pepper. To now it's like, oh, you get all that for $3.99 and it tastes great and the fries are crispy,
dude.
I think that's the thing.
Is that like even a remotely realistic thing that's in your McDonald's? Like, how much does that meal that you just said legit cost if you went there and got it?
$18.
That's fucking crazy. I get a double quarter pounder with bacon meal, double quarter pounder cheese bacon for like $11 here.
Yeah, that's what that costs. But I like McDoubles. So that's and there's wild. No meal for McDoubles. So
we actually have we have a 2 McDouble meal on our menu here.
Really? Yeah, we don't. So.
Yeah, so like regional differences. Yeah,
the 2 McDoubles are individual sandwiches. The fries are individual, and the drink is
without
individual.
The meal,
it's
you get
$18
fucked,
meal.
Whereas used to, that was a $1 menu, baby. You got 2 McDoubles, a fry, and a drink for $4. Let's go.
Well, that's part of why I'm in the habit of ordering it. I'm the same kind of guy who like I go to work the same way. I don't deviate from anything to the point where like I use it. My parents make fun of me for using a GPS in my town because if I don't know how to get to places. Unless I do it over and over again. So like that's the thing. Like I think AI will be one of those things when it gets good enough where prices go down and quality of stuff is better overall. You know, all you got to do is program the computer to be like 30 seconds, put it on a burger. We're going to be in a place where everything is better, but you have to, if you're one of those people who has to contend with it not being human, you're going to have to contend with it.
Well, okay, but now we get into an interesting conversation here. I don't want to stay on this too long, but I think this one's really interesting.
We have to go fight AI, dude. Let's go.
The one worry, because like to your point on fast food, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's happened up there yet, but it wouldn't surprise me. Do you have a Wendy's around you?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you been to Wendy's in a while?
I don't go into fast food restaurants if that.
Well, no, I mean, like, have you driven through a drive-through of one?
Yeah.
Okay. Our Wendy's here, within the last 6 months, replaced their drive-through thing. And I didn't know. One day I went to get my wife likes their breakfast, and I happened to be in a position where I was like, yeah, I'll go get it for you, and I'll bring it back so you can rest. And I got there, and I couldn't tell for sure when the car was in front of me, but I was like, what is happening? And I pulled up, and they replaced there's an AI bot at the drive-through thing now. So when you're talking into a speaker, you're ordering the stuff, and you see it pop up on the screen as you order it. And then you can literally go, I want this, without this, and it doesn't get it wrong first and foremost. But even if you forget, if you go, hey, I want the number 11, then you go, hey, can I edit that number 11? Like, yeah, what do you want to take off? Can I remove the pickles? Can I add extra ketchup? Can I do this? And you see every bit of it. So it removed every bit of human error that usually happens in the ordering side of things. And I kind of was like, I feel like I should hate this, but I kind of like it. This is really helpful. And then the irony is, I go around, they start to go to hand me a drink, and I notice from when she's pulling the drink off, I see it happening. I'm like, well, that's the size of the drink that I ordered, but she's not putting the right drink in there. And I was like, maybe it's not mine. There's somebody else behind me. We'll see. And then she comes and tries to bring it to me. I was like, hey, hate to tell you, that's not my drink. And then, so I was like, ironically, the human error still made its way in, but just right here. But on the flip side, and maybe fast food's a little different, but one of the interesting things about fast food is that the way you like your food, which differs from person to person, sometimes it impacts the way, like some people, we just talked about earlier, I like the fries when they're crispy and super salty. But I have a coworker who likes her fries from McDonald's to be soggy, like ever so slightly soggy and not super salty. And to me, I'm like, that sounds terrible. But if AI is there, how do you implement an ability for people to still get the version that they like? What if they like their burger to be cooked a little too long because they like that it's a little more crispy?
I would argue it's actually easier because I don't know about the fries, but like think about if you're going to Wendy's and I bet you could go to the computer and be like, I want a medium rare Dave's double. And the computer can do it because the computer doesn't have to try.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that because the beef's frozen. PSA, if you don't ever eat pink frozen meat, that's fucking not okay. But I just think you look at
Wendy's is fresh, never frozen.
Yeah, okay. It's definitely refrigerated at a very low temperature.
The technicality. Anyway.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just, to me, it's like everyone is okay with convenience, and human error is a big issue with some of these things.
But human error also leads to interesting things that you find that you like better. Is basically what it's getting at.
Well, yeah.
So it is interesting that sometimes I like when I go to like Olive Garden and they make my chicken parm, and like sometimes they'll make it like really crispy on the chicken, and I'm like, I kind of fucks with this. This is really good. And then other times I'll go and I kind of like the light variation. But then again, to your point, one of the things I love about my local Chick-fil-A is that every fucking time I get Chick-fil-A, it is the exact same. It tastes identical every time. And there's a lot of value in just being like, I get what I want and I know. Because like you said, sometimes I roll the dice and I'm like, if McDonald's hits, this shit's going to blast. But you're taking the chance of, are they going to hit? Even though I want McDonald's more than I want Chick-fil-A right now, Chick-fil-A will be what I want, at least what I expected from what I'm getting, and McDonald's may not be. So it's interesting all the same. But to answer the question overall, I think you're right. I think service jobs already, like where you have to do that, and I'd even go as far as to say, I think even if they do as much of that as possible, right? Like you can still work at McDonald's because I guarantee you they'll still minimize it down to there's going to be someone to hand you the food through the drive-thru, and just because it's like it's one person with a face, they can get the drinks and stuff. The machine already makes the drinks; they're just handing it to you.
Exactly.
So if you cut all that down, I can see that working. But trades, like you said, I think are a big one, and I think it's going to push people back around to considering how to do something that's more fulfilling than sitting on a computer entering data all day. I don't really hate the idea of that being taken off my shoulders, and I don't even do a lot of that right now. But I did do a job where I was at a desk all day doing very monotonous shit, and I didn't like it, and I grew tired of it. And I was really happy that in the same company, I was able to move up into a different position that fulfills my wants to be like, okay, I don't want to do the same thing day after day, year after year.
I think the saddest part about this conversation is like neither one of us said creative fields. And I think that's the ironic part about AI is that I feel like it should open us up
to be able to be creative.
It should open up opportunity for someone like me who likes to write, or someone like you who likes to make music. And AI should open up opportunities for me to be like, I don't have to go to work and get all this stuff done, and I can sit at home and do this.
It's only. I think the reason for that is this isn't on a corporate or anything thing. I think the way that our economy and everything works. Ultimately, I know that there's a reality in where that could be the case, but somebody has to be making the money and paying the money, and I just don't think that there's a reasonable way to view the world and where everybody just gets to let robots do everything and not do anything
But there
themselves.
is one. And that's the thing. I think that's the end game here.
Well, look,
as
maybe,
political
but
as
I
we
think,
want to get, but
my real worry for that on a human level is that we already are in a world where a lot of people don't do things that people used to do. Most people don't change their oil, and that used to be a thing where, like, when you needed to change your oil in your car, you did it yourself. Most people don't do it and don't know how to do it. Most people don't change their brakes, nor do they know how to do it. And my point being is that the more that you start to take people off of people's shoulders, you would think it does open the possibility for them to do. But almost like Wall-E said, when you watch Wall-E, you see the fat people sitting in the chair. If you just make it where we don't have to do anything, a lot of people are just going to wither away into not doing anything because unfortunately there is a subset of the human population that maybe for reasons that are completely valid don't know what it's like to have that freedom, and they'll just rot away with the ability to sit there and scroll and be constantly entertained. And they'll, instead of considering how they might entertain themselves or entertain someone else or do something that feels fulfilling. Like sometimes I've been playing too much games and I'm like, I'm going to go fucking replace the O2 sensor on the truck that needs to be changed because I just want to do something that I think is interesting. I want to build a fucking wall because I think it's interesting to figure out how to do that. But not everyone's like that. I push a lot of my daughter to be like, hey, always remember, you can do all of these things that people pay people to do right now. You can do plumbing. You need to, in my house for sure, it's a pier and beam. Crawl underneath the house, look at it, buy the new pipe, change the pressure. Don't get me wrong, it's not fun, but it's not, and it is. It's really weird. It's like, oh, it is fun because it's cool to be like, oh, I could figure this shit out. People charge this much money to do this. I just saved myself like $500.
You have to crawl with all the spideys. Ew.
Yeah, but I guess that's the thing is, it's like I'm cautious there because I don't want people to just fall away. I can see it in my daughter sometimes. If I don't push on her to do something different, sometimes she'll just kind of rot away. But to your point, sometimes I go in there and she's not on her phone. She's over there crafting and painting, and she does that for a considerable amount of time. And I'm like, hell yeah, I love technology, but you don't need to always be on it.
I just think we're going to have to reckon with a time where so many jobs have been replaced that a lot of people are going to be on government assistance. It'll get to a point where it's UBI, and then hopefully maybe then people will get more creative. But I just think the biggest thing is like at a studio level, at a publisher level, all your fucking stuff's going to be AI. I'm telling you, there's going to be AI movies in theaters one day, and we will not realize it. Or by the time it's that good, we won't care.
That's what I was about to say. I think at that one, that's going to be interesting. Did you see where recently the CEO of NVIDIA said that? I don't even completely disagree with him. It's just coming from him, it doesn't work. But he said something along the lines of like, when people need to stop being so sci-fi doom speakers about AI because it's not helping and it's stopping us from getting to what AI could really be. And you know what? He might be right. I'm not saying he is, he might be. But coming from the man who stands to gain the most financially from an over-reliance on AI, I can't take that seriously from him.
I think he's objectively correct. I don't know that matters.
He's correct from the sense of what AI and robotics together could turn the world into, barring conversations of very important things like water resources and mining our planet down to be able to create all these things and upkeep. There are environmental problems that come along with that, but barring those, I think you're right. There is a world where, like you said, we could get to a point where everything's easier for everybody.
I guess the thought for me
I don't think
is
it's likely, but
no. But the thought for me is like, okay, you keep developing these AIs; they have to start somewhere, and an AI cures cancer. At this point, that's probably more likely than a person doing it.
Agreed. Yeah, fast iteration, a lot of math,
but if you stop letting people experiment with it, I'm not saying like, I don't know, write books and write, Sinners was made by AI, right? Like, I'm not saying that is a good future.
Yeah,
but I'm saying like, we're gonna have to have hard conversations. It's gonna be like, if Rockstar can make GTA 7 in 2 years because they used AI for part of it, is that really a bad thing?
I think it's going to be one of those things like what we saw with Larian, where it's like, where do you let the AI come in? Because they were like, we're not going to have any AI in art because we don't want anybody questioning it, even though they were just talking about using it in like the concept stage, which again, maybe they're and using it in the concept stage and only with training the data on their own employees' work. And people were like, well, no. So it blew up and they were like, we're not going to have it at all in art. But they did say that does not mean we're not going to use AI in spots where it makes sense to speed up our workflow on things that you don't look at and go, oh, human hand did that.
Well, it's like,
so
I can
to
tell
your
you
point,
now
right?
that
GTA 7, if it's written by a dude who just knows how to write a great story, but they use AI to cut down on world generation, asset generation, all those things, maybe that's not as big of a deal, because what do you like about Grand Theft Auto?
there has to be a hard conversation. And like, if the dude who happens to do this is listening, I'm not calling you out specifically, right? But like, is it a bad thing if Rockstar can go, hey, the environment artist designing trees, and that's all he's been doing for 9 years, we don't need to pay this guy $100,000 a year. Like, I get that that's talking about taking someone's job, but at what point are we looking at like, okay, there's benefits and negatives. I think the only way people will ever move on to that side is it's just going to be attrition, because it's going to happen. You're going to have to get used to it. But I think if let's say Divinity costs $40, it's not going to.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, we cut out so much labor and time that now we're charging you $40, and it's still a fucking barn burner of a game.
Yeah, it depends.
AI did some
really
of the QA.
Does.
And bug squashing.
A good example that I always go towards for what you're talking about, and I think it's a valid argument for people who bring this up, is that cutting small jobs, like even QA, which sometimes can act as a door in for people to join the gaming industry, is that if you look at the careers of some of the people that have gone on to be like highly respected game directors, a lot of them started as like character designers or some small thing. The guy, Tetsuya Nomura, who made Kingdom Hearts, who directed Final Fantasy VII Remake, Part 1, he directed other stuff too. Point being, he came, and the idea behind Kingdom Hearts, which regardless of whether anybody likes it or not, has been a successful series, and a unique one at that, came about because he started as a character designer. Then he eventually became the character designer for like every Final Fantasy game, before they eventually were like, he had an idea, he ran it by some people, and they were like, we're going to let you direct the game of your own creation, of your own thought, and then we get a really unique, interesting game. And that's not the only time that's happened. Kojima had the same thing happen, right? He's working on Metal Gear alongside other people, and then he spins off and makes Metal Gear Solid and gets a chance to direct. And you're right. Sometimes you look and you go, 9 times out of 10, maybe 99 times out of 100, cutting that dude who's just making the trees is not going to really matter. But what about that one time that might have been the dude who made the next great game that made you go, holy shit, I fell in love with this series, and it only existed because this guy's mind was able to do it. So there's legit worries, and it's we can go all day on this, and I don't want. We have one more question, but your point stands. It's difficult conversations and difficult ways of trying to understand how can you bridge these gaps. How can you make sure that there are guidelines in place to try to make sure that people who do have some talent get a chance to show it? Does AI helping in some areas allow people who are usually weighed down by grunt work the ability to go, hey, here's my idea, and here's something I was able to throw together because of my extra time. Can we look at what this would look like as a game? Jan Vanderbeek, which is a dude who was behind the creation of Aloy and the concept for Horizon Zero Dawn. He was just an artist.
Yeah.
And he ended up becoming a director. That stuff's cool. It's great.
It depends on everything. I just think, it depends on how people act. There's positives, negatives. If AI helps Rockstar make Grand Theft Auto faster, but also, hey, we've lessened the workload. So guess what? We're making GTA 7. It's coming out in 2030, and Bully 2 is coming out in 2031, because now we have 2 teams who are unburdened by the smaller work.
Yeah.
Who can do everything else.
We'll definitely see. But you know what? Moving on to the last question, and I had to look into this, so I'm curious if you know about it too. I think we're not huge Nintendo players, so I'm not surprised I didn't realize it. But Jehudi MD, longtime listener, longtime patrons, he comes back and says, what are your thoughts on Nintendo's Platinum point system? Do you think PlayStation will ever consider that system or something like it? Chris, are you immediately familiar with this?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, so quick rundown view. You've probably heard people doing this on Xbox. It's really similar to what Xbox was doing. The idea is that for logging on and like playing some of the games that are in the classic catalog for the Nintendo Switch Online service, there are some apps on your phone like Mario Run and some other stuff that you can log on to and complete tasks. And there are various things you can do like that. And it gives you points that you're able to put and spend on things that are within the ecosystem. So Xbox hasn't done something just like this, but the way you unlock the points is a little similar. And what it does is it allows you to unlock, like, spend your currency, your platinum points on avatars, backgrounds, themes, things like that. Things that I think Sony used to kind of do this in a different way. Sony used to send custom themes for getting a platinum, or if you beat a game, like Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD collection that came out on PS3. If you beat Kingdom Hearts 1, you got a theme that is beautiful. It's still on my PlayStation right now. And then if you platinumed it, you get a different thing. And it was on the disc and unlocked. And that wasn't necessarily PlayStation, but I think PlayStation pushed people to look at how they could do something interesting with the PS3 and do it. And sometimes they did it themselves. Even across the PS4, right? You could platinum a game and they'd be like, congrats on platinum in Ghost of Tsushima. We sent you a theme, and it's a cool theme that has like Jen with leaves rolling by, and you can move it through. It's like, oh, this is a neat idea. And you can get specific avatars for things. That's what this is. Do you think PlayStation would do something like this? This feels like a better version of what Stars was trying to go for, but just didn't know how to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't they do this and then shut it down instantly?
Yeah. I think the difference is that Stars had this like collectible thing that I think they wanted people to care more about than they did.
Dude, it's not even that they wanted people to care. That shit was NFTs, and then they stopped when the backlash came out. That's all. That's why they turned to shut it down, because that's the whole thing was built on that.
It was NFTs, and then the moment that NFTs lost all the steam, which they 100% did. Who talks about NFTs in any real way now? They were like,
people who own NFTs.
Do you think those non-fungible tokens ever be worth anything? Yeah, it's crazy.
Let me screenshot your NFT right quick.
Yeah. I own it too. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think it's a cool idea, because it reminds me of a point in time where Sony was doing cool stuff like this, and I kind of miss when Sony was like, hey, customization can be a cool thing. And this is a weird thing coming from me, because I'm normally not big on character customization, which is why my accidental confirming of my character without changing anything in Arc Raiders, so I was just a black woman, and I'm still a black dude. I just went I didn't like the way the armor looked, so I went and changed the body type, because guess what? When's the last time you saw my character's face, Chris?
Never.
Oh, look at that. It's almost like the game wants me to cover up the character that I spent time making. So I don't spend time making them. But to that end, I really like themes, because it's something I do interact with, you know?
Yeah. I was going to say, that's funny, because I specifically take the helmets off of every outfit I put on.
You do. But you also put way more time and effort into what your character looks like, and I just don't care.
Yeah,
you know,
that
really is what it is. But it's just for games like that, because most of the time I'm looking at the back of my character's head anyway.
Yeah, and I play Fallout.
I feel like they're gonna do similar shit. I feel like you're gonna be able to make your bot in Marathon, and you're never gonna fucking see the bot. You're gonna see it when you're in like the loadout screen. You're gonna be like, look how cool! It's like Destiny. You spend all this time looking cool in Destiny, and then when you're playing the game, you don't fucking see that helmet.
Mm-hmm. But it's everyone else does. That's the point.
Yeah.
I have to look cooler than you at all times.
But I feel like the way my character looks, and Destiny is a good example here. You don't really get to change the way your character looks in Destiny. The way you do fashion is the items you get in the game. So what am I doing in Arc Raiders? I'm putting the items from the game onto my character, and that's what makes me look cool. I did it. So
congratulations. I'm proud.
But I really do love the idea of, like, whenever it's something like a UI, I like being able to customize UI with interesting things, being able to have an avatar that you feel like is, oh, my avatar is Sly Cooper because I love Sly Cooper. My avatar is, Joel because I also want to kill people and lie to my daughter about it. Stuff like that. That stuff is neat to me, and I think it shows a bit more love. And I think it's also good because it services I already know I'm an outlier. I know a lot of people who are like, if I can create my own character in that game, I'll buy it day one. I'm like, I'd rather have a character I'm playing as that someone wrote personally. That's just who I am. But I get it. So to that end, I think being able to service people who do want that level of customization is something that Sony hasn't really been doing. They're getting better. They had those anniversary ones that they had for PS1, PS2, PS3 for the 30th anniversary. That was neat, but then they went away. And I think I think one of them came back. But yeah, it's just a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it is.
So
hopefully they do something like this. It would be cool.
I think Sony has considered it, and they've done versions of it in the past. One of the things I think sucks is that all platform holders do this. I feel like if they tried it and it didn't work at one point in time, they never come back around to it when it might work better.
Absolutely.
And that's just the way it goes. So Jehudi, thanks for writing in. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I mean, you seemingly asked the question. I would assume that you enjoy the system. I'd love to hear why. Let us know. Chris, do you have anything else you want to say before we round the show off?
No, man. That's it. I'm hyped up.
Look at that, man.
Play Arc Raiders.
We're good to go. I'll tell you what, something that we get to do with our friends on this show, or for the people who help make this show possible, our patrons, they go over to patreon.com/Nartech and they give as little as $1 per month to support the show with more than just their time, which is so awesome. It's a big help to us. And we have a new patron this month, this week, this episode, the Boorish Boar. Thank you so much for coming through. We hope you enjoyed the show. Look forward to hearing from you. If you haven't hopped into the Discord yet, love to see you there so we can hear from you and you can be part of the questions, give your thoughts on topics, all that. But without further ado, to thank the rest of our patrons with a little shout out, we're going to wrap the show up. Thank you so much to the Boris Boar again, Grime Kid 1989, FR Damian Quigley, Ryan Goldner, Low Rate Nate, Spencer, Brandon Edwards, Alex, Barry Rogers, Stingray X, Matt Tubbs, Bailey Robertson, Mark Schutz, Rude Days 93, Kevin Bacon Bits, Danny Villalobos, Jehudi MD, No Fate, Josh Ayers, Derek Porter, and Sean Santaroo. Thanks to each and every one of you. We'll see you next time.
Peace, bitch.